on a grassroots level, all I'm asking for people to do is simply don't give your children over to the educational system, because it's totally been subverted and infiltrated by people.
Listen, guys, all I'm asking is that you don't send your kids to get educated at school. It's a very simple request, really. Yeah, okay, dude. I seriously did not know that. I'm on mute now. I seriously did not know that Dylan would be here, and I'm a little freaked out now. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Welcome, everyone.
I did not know that.
The Daily Tate. This is a new podcast. We're starting to monitor all the movements of Andrew Tate. What is Andrew Tate tweeting about? What are his movements? Who is he sleeping with? Sneeko. Is Sneeko talking to Destiny? What's happening? What? Oh, I'm sorry. Scratch that. That's my other show. Welcome, everyone, to Binks's Honky Tonk Podcast. It's a great new show, great new political show, because God knows there are not enough political shows on Twitch. Okay, today we're going to be talking about Christian nationalism. What is it? What does it do? What does it mean? Is there going to be like a confession booth at the DMV? Who knows? That's what we're here to find out. Okay. I have a great, wonderful, beautiful panel of people that I have invited who have graciously accepted, and we're going to go and do quick intros real quick. Everyone, please shout yourself out and say where people can find you. First, we have live from the mountains of Ukraine, or maybe I don't know the geography of Ukraine. Live from Ukraine, Dylan Burns. Please introduce yourself.
There are mountains here. There are actually very beautiful mountains here, the Carpathians. Yeah, my name's Dylan Burns. I work for the Central Intelligence Agency in Ukraine. I help them with recruiting, and I help convince everybody that, we need to keep the FBI in order, make sure to support every establishment position there is. You can find me at twitch.tv/Hasanabi or centralintelligenceagency.org. Any of that works.
And by the way, Dylan, how has post hippy dippy life treated you? I've heard an article of a man wandering the streets of Ukraine asking if they needed a moderator to debate about his son's house. Can you confirm?
Yeah. Honestly, I'm happy to be done with it for now. Hippy dippy was like a big part of my online content creation, but I'm more interested in doing a lot more like deeper analysis of political issues than hosting other people's conversations. I just released a longer video on the Russian economy that I'm really proud of, and I get a lot more fulfillment out of the work I'm doing here than I ever got from hosting debates. Not that I never had fun from it. It was fun. I just didn't get fulfillment from it. I don't believe work should just be fun. I think you should get something deeper from work. And it's also more challenging, and I enjoy that as well. And so I also don't have to manage a lot of morons every week, which is lovely.
Well, I'm doing a video about the new Goku skin in Fortnite, but you don't see me bragging about it. Next up, we have Looter. Looter, people say, God, I hate that guy. He's bad faith, awful. Why can't he just have like one goddamn good argument? Just one time, please. Just one time. But that's what people say. I love him. One of my best friends on Twitch. Please introduce yourself, Looter.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I'm here to steal your bad takes and recycle them. That's what I do. You guys can find me on Twitch and Twitter.
Who does have the best facial hair? That's a great question.
I just want to wish Pedro the best of luck on this panel, man. It's unfortunate that Binks had to host a panel that's 5 leftists and 1 conservative. I had a conversation, and I heard Redneck the other day say that Sprout and Nacho are actually not conservative, and they're actually leftists. So best of luck to you, Pedro.
Wait, I'm a leftist now? Redneck is calling me a leftist?
Look, the right-wing gatekeeping is out of control. We all know it. Okay, it is what it is.
Don't worry, I got you.
Speaking of, Hasanabi, we were going to get him for this panel. He was a little expensive. Like when you need to get Advil and all that's left is really like ibuprofen. Well, Alec Gunter, please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Alec Gunter. Are we just doing intros? I'm sorry.
Intros, shout yourself out, yeah.
Gotcha. I'm Alec Gunter on twitch.tv/Alec Gunter, also on youtube.com/Alec Gunter TTV. I do leftist Twitch streaming. I act like a conservative sometimes for fun. I think I'm pretty good at that. Let's see, I do some gaming, I do some memes, just like basic I do something that like not a whole lot of people do, and that's being a white cishet presenting leftist on Twitch and doing variety things. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty unique. And I upload my shit to YouTube and also some clips to TikTok. And that's about it.
Beautiful. And my producer tells me that you got banned from Omegle for showing your dick. How could you do something so controversial yet so brave?
I know, right? Yeah. What's funny is that actually is because Xander Hall got me in fucking trouble because I watched his content doing that. But apparently you're allowed to do that on YouTube. You can't do it on Twitch. So I didn't know that. I think but to be fair, he did give a warning that you can't do that on Twitch. So I never saw the warning. I never heeded it. So it was it was funny.
He was debating politics, not showing his dick. Okay, that was the hyperbole on my part. Next up, we're going to go to someone I'm very excited to have on. Never met him before, but I'm a big fan of him on debate streams. Pedro with the Crucible.
Hi, nice to meet you guys. Like he said, I'm from the Crucible. I'm the co-owner, Pedro. People call me Bog. That used to be synonym for, or no, a little acronym for the word Black Hammer of God. But I'm changing it to the Brian Hammer of God because I think nomenclatures like white people and black people are just social constructs that, when really examined on their foundation, make no sense. But yeah, I'm here tonight to actually share with you the real gospel, what it looks like in operation, which is Christian nationalism. I think, like someone said before, I'm probably
Agreed,
the only one who's primarily going to be answering questions tonight. And I really like actually being in the hot seat, just answering questions. So I'm really excited to do that for you.
Thank you very much. Would you say that you are the Garfunkel to Andrew's Simon?
I'd like to think of it as Superman and Batman, whereas he's just going through steamrolling people like Superman, and I'm in the background working out the technical details of things.
Gotcha. Thank you very much for being here. Nacho came up, by the way. My next guest, I want to say something about my next guest. He gets a lot of shit. I saw him on 3 panels this week. Where he would say something and 8 other people on the stream would all start yelling at him and saying, "You're stupid, you're dumb." But you know what? I think this person really thrives on getting dogpiled. I think that's kind of where his debate skills shine through, is getting dogpiled. That's why I call him the king of doggy style, the Sprouticus. Please introduce yourself.
Hey, I am the Sprouticus. Come on Twitch and Twitter at the Sprouticus. TikTok and YouTube coming soon. Basically, let's put it this way. Christian nationalism is against.
No, we're not doing that yet, Sprout.
Oh,
just
sorry.
Introduce yourself.
All right, so yeah, I'm the Sprouticus. CIA contact for Dylan Burns.
Because I'm a meathead doesn't mean I'm not a
You
feminist.
can also find me at CIA.com.
Thanks so much for the follow in on.
Also, one of the head Trump advisors for the 2024 election. So,
quite a resume.
Thank you.
And finally, this is an OG Twitch politics streamer who hasn't been around to take care of his family, but I told him to do this because I am a bad influence. American Nacho, how's it going?
Hey, what's up? Sorry, I was still working out some technical difficulties, so I'm late. My camera should pop up soon, maybe.
It's definitely not the CIA's fault.
Oh, there we go.
There he is.
There's Destiny.
Okay. Right on time, baby.
All right. Beautiful. Okay, well, hey, sorry, introduce yourself, I guess.
Yeah, I'm American Nacho. I'm like Bing said, I'm having a baby, a beautiful baby boy that will be born in November.
Not you, your wife. No stolen valor.
No, me.
Oh, okay.
Did you just assume my gender, Binks?
Oh, I thought I knew it.
Okay. My wife's gonna have a baby in November. It's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna be a father, and it's epic. So I'm excited about that. And Twitch can go fuck itself for now because there's more important things in life. I play video games. I started trying to come back, so maybe you'll see me like once a week. I think I'm trying to do like a Saturday or Sunday stream a week, and we're just gonna play video games and chill. Like Bink said, he's a bad influence, so he made me do this tonight. So I am being held against my will.
Very cool, very swag. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. The topic tonight, as already mentioned, is going to be Christian nationalism. It's been in the news lately. A lot of people are talking about Christian nationalism. A lot of articles I've noticed. I kind of feel like this is my prediction. I feel like this is going to be a thing. Like in a year, everyone's going to be talking about Christian nationalism. This is kind of the word being placed on people on sort of the populist right. I feel like that's sort of the label that they are most comfortable with, and that's kind of being pushed upon. People like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert are coming out saying things like separation of church and state shouldn't really be a thing. Lots of stuff like that coming out. So I have a lot of questions about this, but and like Pedro said, he has a lot of answers about this. So I want to kind of get everyone's general opinion. And we'll start with Pedro, then we'll kind of go around. Brief.
Gotcha. All right. Yeah, I'll try and be as brief as possible, but bear with me because it is a foundation I have to lay here, and that foundation is all set up on this. The Bible, which produces the triune God as our, creator, has sovereignly decreed
this is gonna be
through the
good.
Father to make himself known through the demonstration of his wrath and his grace. His wrath through vessels of
this is gonna be good.
prepared beforehand, before in eternity, and those in for grace through vessels of mercy through the completion of the incarnation. That's the life, death, burial, and resurrection of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, who is also God, all by the power of the Holy Spirit, who is also God. And this is all very important because, objectively speaking, this is through the lens which we're going to be solving the problem, which is all perception here, really, through which we're going to be constructing our laws, conducting ourselves, and making our society better or worse. Really, it's come down to something called a noetic structure. This is a grid of beliefs and stories that interconnect and function together to make up a
Write this down,
lens
chat.
that will
It's important.
through which you will look at the world and perceive, make choices, and exercise anything that you desire out into reality. The good news is we already have the ability to point to and identify the grid of beliefs and stories to solve this problem that we have before us.
Thank you so much, Tina, too.
Because on an epistemological level, it comes from God, which is a starting point from which we can lay an objective foundation.
No worries, Adrian. You do what you got to do.
All of our morals. And
Thanks
we know
here,
this record is objective and inherent because it's ontologically his very breath. All this is packed neatly together in the Bible. They are called really separately the scriptures. This is objective beliefs and stories that are the solution to the problem we have here at hand.
Right, he's got to cut to the chase.
Concerning Christian nationalism specifically, really, it's nothing special. It's not a revolution. I'm not calling for like some communist to overthrow our government. I'm simply asking any Christian out here who is listening to me and hearing this message or already knows God's word to just be active within the political sphere. Because you see, everything that our forefathers have laid down, the founders of this nation, have given us every weapon we needed. We don't need to do anything radical. I'm not here promoting some kind of weird monarchy. I'm not here promoting some kind of cult to take over. I'm simply asking for the people, the believers out there already, to exert the power they already have. I think Destiny said it best. Really, every weapon is out there. People just don't like when they lose. And usually people lose because of their complacency and inactivity. Christian nationalism is pretty much just acting out your Christian beliefs in the political sphere and therefore in the ballot box.
Thank you very much. I will throw it to the Sprouticus.
I'm going to have fun tearing into this one.
So Christian nationalism, in my belief, is against the Constitution. It is against the fundamentals of Christian faith. And it is against anything that they would tout to be Christian nationalist. You're going against the very document that governs the country and the very document that that is relied on as the Holy Scriptures of the religion. I am a Christian, but I do not view Christian nationalism as something that should be sought for. I do not view Christian nationalism as something that should exist in the United States. And I think downright it's just against both ideas.
Thank you very much. We'll go with Looter next.
Yeah, man. I think the question that we should be asking ourselves here is that with this Christian nationalist, like objective moral framework, is it compatible with our American liberal worldview? And I think that with what you mentioned earlier, Banks, with Lauren Boper and some of the comments that she's made, if we consider her to be a Christian nationalist, which I think Pedro might reject here in the future, I think that the answer is no. I think that the separation of church and state is one of our core tenets that we have. She does not believe in that. And then I think that even when it comes to Christian ethics, there's a lot of aspects of it that go against the liberal worldview that we have in America. I think particularly we can look at how relationships and marriage are treated in Christianity, and Christianity definitely promotes a inherently
time, boys.
misogynistic
It's
relationship
go
in
time,
marriage,
boys.
which we shouldn't adhere to in America. I think we can also look at other things such as gay marriage and abortion, where if we try to view this through a Christian moral framework and impose upon that, it is not compatible with American liberalism. So, thank you.
No, thank you. We'll go to Alec.
Thank you very much, Binks. I gotta say, Mr. Crucible really hit a heartstring for me, and I gotta agree with all these libs over here talking about separation of church and state. I gotta say, man, I'm not on board with that. When God in the Bible was seeing sinning going on, you know what he did? He told his one prophet, "You get all these fucking animals on a boat, and I'm gonna kill those other motherfuckers." You know that? And he did that. And I think that was pretty cool. So I think that Christian nationalism is pretty sick, and we should really push for it. And I'm all over that. I think that basing our ideology on a book that is 2,000 years old, 2,000 years old. Now you tell me an older book than that. The life expectancy back there wasn't even 40 yet. Now come on, there's so much precedent there to base off of, to base your entire political ideology off of, and it doesn't really say anywhere in the Bible that you should hate gay and trans people, but we kind of do that anyway, and that's fine because that's how we interpret it. So that's pretty cool too. And I think like I said, I'm on Crucible's side with this. It's pretty sick.
Thank you, Alec. I usually don't listen to intros, but you sold the accent. We'll go to Dylan next.
So I think the main debate that's probably going to take place here is going to be a debate about definition, and it's going to be what is a real and not real Christian nationalist, because I think it's going to boil down to us pointing, well, this person claims to be a Christian nationalist, and they're very publicly Christian nationalist. That's what the dialogue's about recently. And is this person truly a Christian nationalist? Because the way they've manifested in our political sphere has been very negative, or we're going to maybe debate on whether it's going to be Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, and we're going to debate the specifics of that. And so I think that is what this is going to boil down to very quickly, and I hope we can get to substantive policies and try to generally avoid that, but that's what this dialogue is being produced by, so I think that's inevitable. For me, I think generally the church should stay out of politics. I generally believe that the church should not be guiding policy on abortion. The church should not be guiding policy on marriage. I don't believe the church should be guiding policy on education. I believe the church is a person's private matter and should not be pushed in the public sphere. When it comes to the church and how much it should be present when it comes to like public life and in politics, not public life, I don't really care if you have a mega church or you do whatever like with a church, but it should not be involved in politics. I believe we are a secular democracy. We should keep it that way. If you want to use your faith to say, hey, the reason I think we should have this food stamps program, or the reason why I should do this is because of my Christian worldview, you can argue that all you want, but it should not be a guiding policy. I don't think people should say the reason we are going to put this policy in place is because of my faith, A, B, and C. I think it should generally be the effects of policies, whether it generally benefits society or not. If you want to argue that these food stamps or ending gay marriage or trying to restrict access to abortion, if these things benefit society widely outside of just your Christian worldview, then that's fine. But I think generally the church should stay out of politics. That's basically my view. I've grown a lot more distant from the church in recent years, to almost just complete ambivalence to it. Definitely politically.
Thank you. And then finally, American Nacho.
I tend to fall on the side more of like a civic nationalism kind of deal, but I've talked to not Pedro, but I've talked to Andrew before, and I've touched base a little bit with Pedro, like on the discords before, and like their version of Christian nationalism. To me, I think whoever said it was right. It's probably going to come down to like definitions, because from everything that I've heard, whenever I hear like a Andrew or a Pedro talk about Christian nationalism, I don't really have a problem with it necessarily. I think I can get everything that I want out of our systems if there were Christians making the laws. I don't really see an issue, but there was a lot of things that were said. So I'm more interested just to get right into this and see where it goes.
Fair
Yeah.
enough. I was
Who
going
would like to go
introduce-
first?
I'll
sorry.
let Pedro. I know you looked like you were writing things down diligently, so I'll let you answer whatever was said in the opening that you want to address.
It's a 5v1.
Actually, I was going to see who wanted to go first. Who? Because I'm in the hot seat right now. I think it's very fair. Maybe I can go at the Dylan. Dylan actually talked about definitions, so maybe I'll go for Dylan first. Dylan, you're right. This is about definitions. And at the beginning of my opening statement, I gave you
What's
guys
up, Bud
all the
Raven?
gospel, which is, the message of Jesus Christ and how you can be saved and what the purpose of all this creation
Yeah,
is.
I agree. Oh, yes.
Have you ever heard Marjorie Taylor Greene or any of the politicians that you brought up actually give someone the gospel? Can you demonstrate that for us right now?
Like, can I find if Marjorie Taylor Greene has ever quoted the Bible while talking about her politics? I could probably
not-
find that.
Well, it's not quoting the Bible, but if I had to immediately put the Bible here, the last thing, the very commission that Jesus Christ gives every Christian, right? Because they're claiming to be Christian nationalists up on their podiums in their political rooms. They're saying, I'm a Christian. Jesus told us, go out and make disciples of the nation. And that is entailed with delivering people the gospel. So I think a very key thing to do is to actually produce some kind of dialogue where you see these politicians who claim to be Christians giving someone the gospel and calling them the Christ. I think that's very fair. That's
So
like
if they're
the core of
delivering
Yeah,
and
for
like
sure, I can't find it
actively
now.
preaching from their position of power and influence, basically.
It's said of all
What-
nations, not the nation, by the way. Like
I would say, I would say that mostly they just stick to policy, but then they try to back up their policy with like Bible quotes. It'll depend on the audience they're speaking to, whether how much they quote the Bible. If they're speaking in
very
front of
true.
a more like evangelical crowd, or if they've been invited to a church, for instance, then they're probably going to quote the Bible a lot more, try to base it in more like biblical teachings. But I would say that I think the most evident example of somebody who would maybe be more of this level of a Christian nationalist would probably be Mike Pence, somebody who's actively made the church a big part of his politics, a big part of his public life, and has actively quoted the Bible in almost everything he does. He has the Bible be a present space and Bible quotes and references to the Bible and most of his social policy. But I would say that Marjorie Taylor Greene, I guess my question to you would be like, how much would you need her to like quote the Bible or bring up biblical scripture for you to say she is a Christian nationalist? Because she is I don't want to say she's the face of modern Christian nationalism, but she is most certainly trying to make herself the face of modern Christian nationalism, and the media certainly, and most people.
The
seem to
Bible
be,
is in
I
fact
guess,
pretty cringe. The New
just
Testament has some cool
accepting
stuff,
that
though. They
because
got
that's
some
why
cool
we're having the
arcs.
discussion in the first place.
Right. And if I had to answer faithfully and interlock with you on this, is just simply this. Anyone who calls themselves a Christian, and we cannot cite them giving the gospel, which
No
is
true
what I just
Scotsman.
did
No
for
true
you
Scotsman.
guys, which is not even me directly quoting the Bible. There's many different versions, but it all comes down to the same thing of what I said at its core. They're not really Christian, and therefore what they're just doing as a political move around this time is to just get some more votes on their side. The second bullet point answer would simply be this. Yes, people can quote the Bible all the time. People do it all out of context all the time, but I would just say simply to have some brevity. People quote any source document of antiquity all the time, but to dictate whether they actually abuse or are using it in its intended manner is to see what context in which they quote those verses. So they could have said anything. Honestly, I'm just asking for a simple example of them coming to somebody who's obviously a rebel sinner who needs to hear the gospel, but you can't produce that. So you're right completely when you brought up definitions. These people who call themselves Christian and are on pretty much the biggest platform ever, if they never use it to fulfill the most simple commandment that Jesus Christ gives us, which is to deliver the gospel to someone, can we really say they're Christian, or are they just trying to get my vote right now?
I mean, I guess the question would be, you would be trying to read somebody's intent, right? Whether they're quoting the Bible and bringing up scripture to just win political points, or they're doing it because they actually believe it.
It's not reading intent, sir, at all. It's just, I just want to hear the gospel. If someone,
What's
know
preaching the gospel versus quoting the Bible? Because
Unfortunately,
I think
I'm not going to
if you
be
were to
that
ask Marjorie
active.
Taylor Greene, when she says,
Probably.
when she starts reading
'cause this is a
Bible verses and
5v1,
saying,
and
this is
I
why we need to
really-
do this in this country.
I really
et cetera.
honestly don't
This
want
is
to gang up
important
on him too
because
much.
It's based in the values of God, and she'll say that. How is that not trying to enact Christian nationalism? How is that not trying to bring about policies based in Christianity?
the difference is this simply. she could yank a Bible verse out of context, out of its original intended purpose, out of thin air, and use it for whatever political machination she's trying to achieve. It doesn't matter. Just say X, and then it would have nothing to do with the
Pedro
verse.
considers himself a Christian
Versus
nationalist,
if you
yes.
are delivering someone the gospel,
But
it
he's
is
playing a
directly
semantics game
fulfilling
whereby
what
he's
the
kind of giving a
entirety of the
different
Bible
definition
is
of
really
it.
all about,
and
which is the
it's
message
not
of the
gonna
Savior
work.
Jesus Christ.
The message of the entire Bible is love, at least the New Testament, and this is repeated over
No.
and over. This is repeated over and over and over again.
No.
Then you would disagree with Paul, which wrote
False
the majority.
teacher.
Which wrote you're
False
calling
teacher.
Paul a false teacher?
Huh?
He wrote the majority of the New Testament.
And don't spur Spartacus. I'm just calling you a false teacher. Don't
You're
worry.
calling me a false
I love
teacher.
Paul.
So did
Yeah.
so Paul said if you have nothing else, if you've done all these things, but you don't have love,
You remember
right?
You remember when I
Right?
said you can yank a Bible
I'm
verse
asking
out of context
if
and use
that's
it for
true.
anything?
I'm asking if that's true. Is that true?
He did say that.
Is that true?
Paul said
Spartacus
many
is
things.
that true?
Spartacus-
Okay, answer the question, and then you can
Damn.
refute.
Re-
Is
okay,
that
Damn,
true?
Sprout.
Restate the question, sir. Go for it.
Sprout's not having it.
My major question was: did Paul write the large majority, comparison to any other author, the large majority of the New Testament?
Yes, he did, sir.
Okay, all right. And did Paul also state that if you do all of these wonderful things, if you prophesy, if you do miracles, but have no love, you are nothing? Did he state that as well?
Yes, sir.
Did Jesus state that did Jesus state that to
Sound like a lawyer
love
doing a
is the
cross-examination.
one thing that keeps away from all
breathe,
sin?
my friend. Breathe.
Right?
Breathe.
Did Jesus say that?
He said what? Say it again.
That love is the one
Oh,
thing
he's
that
trying to
keeps
take
people
control back
away
so
from
bad.
all
I feel like
sin.
I'm just
Did Jesus say that?
commentating over this, but I'm kind of fine with that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the majority
fun.
or the majority topic, or one of the biggest topics in the New Testament, and I would consider it the main topic, is love. And Jesus showed this love through dying on the cross.
No,
Yes.
sir.
Yes.
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay, I wasn't done
Because
with
they
my
all-
point, but feel free.
Yeah, I false teaching is getting too much.
It's not false
So,
teaching.
It's
Master,
false
calm your
teaching.
tits.
Don't worry. It's because I answer you directly with yes or no's. The message of the Bible is that man is in need of a savior. And like I said in that gospel presentation I showed you before, it's not about you. I'm sorry, Spartacus, sir. And it's not about the human race. You see, my gospel that I present to people, that the Bible actually teaches, is one where God's at the center, not man. Meaning this, I told you that the purpose for all creation is a demonstration of God's wrath and his grace. His
Hunger
grace
Master,
are
I know
carried
we
out
have
on
fun
vessels
here.
of mercy.
No, I'm serious
That
now,
would
Hunger
be
Master. I know we have
people
fun
like me
here.
who are elect, who have
You
accepted
can-
Jesus Christ, repented of their sins,
You
and
can
turned away.
coom over me all
and
you
those
want. I'm right
vessels of
here.
Wrath prepared
Just be careful what you say about
beforehand
people
to
who
pretty
we don't
much
know,
Show
okay?
what happens
Thank
when
you.
you want to go against God. Now, in that light, God does hate sin. So there is hate and love in this. My God is not just part, some hippie movement that you probably have heard about through your time on this earth. I'm sorry, sir.
I am a Christian.
Question.
So did Jesus?
You don't sound like it, sir.
Okay, it's fine. I don't have to sound like it to you.
Damn.
I only have to sound like it to God. So, did Jesus state that the two greatest commandments were to love your neighbor as yourself and to love God with all your heart? Did Jesus state that?
No, those are not the two greatest commandments.
Really?
The
So what are the two greatest
are lo-
commandments?
Two greatest commandments are to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and do the same with your neighbor.
Oh, that's so practically exactly what I said. Awesome. Now,
All right,
moving
Sprout,
forward
finish
from
your-
this,
finish your-
I'm trying to, but I keep getting interrupted.
Wait.
Frameworks to build a
Let him spurg. Let him spurg. Let him spurg.
All right, everyone stop. Sprout, finish your line of questioning.
Ooh,
but, we can go
Jesus.
I'd rather go back to Dylan's line of questioning.
Damn, Pedro's
Like
not
their
having
Bible
it.
study, Binks. Can we just continue
More
that
of
for a
a
little bit?
Okay,
relationship
so I mean,
between
I was
Bible
okay. Thank you.
Keep going. Keep going.
So I bring all this.
See, I don't
bring
think I'll
up
be
this.
able to
He's gonna say
interject
that
much.
love is not the major theme of the
Sprout
New
likes
Testament.
taking control.
That Jesus didn't say that
He's
the
literally
two greatest
cornered
commandments involve love.
on my
that
screen.
love is going to take you away from all sin. The very idea
We're
of Christian
closing in.
nationalism is going against the Constitution, the founding document of the United States. It's good, but by basically erasing church and state, the separation of church and state, and then it's going against the Christian
He looks a
principles.
little triggered.
Because Jesus was
Do you think
Jesus
that
stated
do you think
Jesus
that we've
stated
been
even
running the
talking.
country by the Constitution for? Do you think that we're running the country by the Constitution right now?
Do you think the Constitution is
do you
just a
think that-
worthless piece of paper?
No, I don't think so.
I kind of do.
I like
Okay.
the
And-
Constitution generally, but I'm asking you, like, do you think that we are running the country currently by the Constitution? Do you think that we're following every amendment in every direction that's given in the Constitution currently?
That's
We
not
could
completely
do
true.
like-
I think the
like-
Constitution
like-
has
like-
value,
like-
but
like-
it is just a piece of paper.
Well, really quick to pivot off of what Nacho is saying, do you think when the founders wrote down on that piece of paper that you called it, we hold these truths to be self-evident in the eyes of God, our Lord or Creator, that and then so on and so forth.
It didn't
Do you
say in the eyes
think
of
that
God.
our
It said we
do-
hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal.
who created them? Not who
So, but it
created
did.
them.
But the document did not say. By the way, that's also
Pretty sure their parents
not-
created them,
So,
right? Like
but
in
the
a
Bible
literal
did not
sense.
say in the eyes of God, right?
Okay.
Good point,
Okay.
Alex.
I mean,
we can
paper
play
did say that.
games. We can play games, and you can make the founders out to be
I love games.
quote unquote liberal atheists.
They
But the
weren't
fact
atheists.
of the matter is,
Most
sir,
of them were
that-
theists.
well, the fact of the matter is, sir, the construction
were the
of that
people- who were the
document
people that
was
supported
made
them,
through a
though?
biblical lens, and what Nacho's getting at right now is no.
I have a
This
question.
country is not anywhere on the rails of where the founders originally intended it to be.
Can I still worship the Dark Lord Cthulhu under Christian nationalism? Is that allowed?
Okay, can I go back to my line of
Can I
questions?
answer
not-
that? Can
imagine
I,
not
no,
having
no. Can I?
anything to
Can I
say.
answer?
Oh.
Can I answer that?
Yes,
Can I
please
answer
do.
that?
You can answer it briefly because I think it was a meme question, but I'll allow it, Pedro, and then we'll go to Dylan.
Yeah, I'll interact seriously. So under Christian nationalism, yes, you can be compelled and enslaved to your sin and bury the truth in unrighteousness all you want. What Dylan was correct about in the offset in the beginning is how you define Christian nationalism. And what Spartacus here is, he's totally glossed over his eyes of how I defined it and how it operates in real time. And he's fighting now this straw man of these people who say they're Christian, but we can't even see them presenting the gospel to even one time in their seats of power. He's saying these people are the persons actually
I've
defining.
fought several times. Continue,
Listen,
go. Continue. I'm
as-
excited.
As long as I can keep
Yeah.
my 8-inch tentacle
It was
dildo, we're good.
referencing Marjorie
All right,
Taylor Greene.
We'll go to Dylan. Go to Dylan.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you talked about, because it seems that you agree that the likelihood that Marjorie Taylor Greene or Lauren Boebert or any of these Mike Pence, any of these politicians have quoted the Bible. They absolutely have. So
I'll define your
I'll
face.
just
That's not
drop the
very
camera.
nice.
They absolutely
Well,
have. Can you demonstrate that?
can
Oh,
I
that was-
demonstrate
that
that
was
they
a-
that one of these three politicians have quoted the Bible?
There's some good
during
ones
their
I can
time in
master. Don't
politics?
forget, Shark 3.0 is a Christian.
you really need to demonstrate that for you?
Yes, there has
But
been
I understand the
documents in
sentiment.
history of
Believe
people
me, I
who
do.
hold political office who actually give the gospel to their constituents.
Yes.
That's-
Shark
I'm just
doesn't
trying-
have
I'm
to
just trying
Christian.
to-
Can you do that for us?
He doesn't talk about it a
Want me
lot.
to just okay? Do you want me to finish? If you want, I can stop and I can go Google Mike Pence quoting the Bible. But I'm pretty positive I can find Mike Pence
No,
quoting the
no,
Bible.
not quoting the Bible, my friend. Giving the gospel.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Like I told you earlier, anybody
wanna
can
remember.
make something
Me.
from the.
You're- I'm-
What's like the
I don't know if he goes
meaningful
to church. I don't know if he
distinction there?
routines.
What's like the
what I'm
meaningful
saying is,
distinction there,
I'm
Pedro?
trying to ask you quoting.
Yes, Shark
I'm
is in
not
fact the
asking if you're
exception.
preaching the gospel. I'm asking you if you're quoting, and you agreed earlier that they have, right?
Yeah, I think Luder came in with a very good question. The meaningful distinction is this: anyone can grab a Bible verse and use it out of context for their own political means, right? Ooh, that's cool. They just quoted something and now they should be donated a lot of money to. That's awesome. Whereas a presentation of the gospel is a call for all sinners to repent of their sins and turn to Jesus Christ, their Lord and Savior. Can we get that?
So, what you would say the difference between what would make Mike Pence or Marjorie Taylor Greene or any of the people not a Christian nationalist is while they're in office, they have it from the pulpit.
Hunger
said,
Master.
I'm calling all my followers to turn away from sin and to come into the fold of Christianity. Basically,
Maybe he's into some
that
culty
is
shit, who
what makes them
knows?
not a Christian nationalist.
Yes, the
Dylan's a
problem is
Christian
we
too?
don't
He
actually
might be.
see their faith being
I don't know.
exercised out in real time amongst people, especially when they have true seats of power where they can do the most help for people, which is sharing the gospel with them. The reason why this is important is because if you know the Bible, gospel presentation is the very power of God in this world. It can change the heart of a sinner from his heart of stone to a heart of flesh. It can totally transform the person like it transformed me.
Okay. So I guess for me, and the reason why I feel I disagree with this definition is because if most definitions that I'm familiar with Christian nationalism has to do with injecting Christianity into politics, right? Which I know you agree with that, but you just don't think they're doing that. You think they're using it more as a political tool, less than a actual movement or belief system that structures them. They're using it to take advantage of Christian
I think
voters.
most Christians,
who believe they're
OAS,
Christian, but they're not
have
really Christian.
some sort
And I
of
would say
toxicity.
too, that they're still, when I look at
Because
the
religion
policies that they're
itself is kind of
advocating for, whether it
toxic,
be,
to be honest.
trying to get rid of Roe versus Wade and eventually abandon abortion, whether it comes to the ending of gay marriages and probably also a restriction of things like civil unions, when it comes to the promotion of possibly prayer in schools or having public displays of faith in public buildings. I guess for you, it
Sounds
feels
based.
like that I feel like to say that they are not a Christian nationalist because while in their positions of power, they haven't met this one check of asking their followers to become Christian instead of, but the whole time they're pumping out quotes from this book saying that this is the book, this is the truth, this is the word, which she has said, Marjorie Taylor Greene has said that the Bible is the word of God and that she believes Jesus Christ cleansed her of her sins. She has said that from her position. She is promoting that actively to her audience and then going out and promoting policies based on those beliefs. I don't understand how that can't be described as Christian
This is true,
nationalism.
Queen Laura.
Can I tell you why, brother? Because earlier you
brother.
said that there are many definitions of Christian nationalism. You know there can only be one right one, correct?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
Why?
I'm sure there can only, I guess, like everybody, I mean, what do you mean
There's
can
only
be
one.
right
There's
Why
only
is
one
yours
conservative or one liberal, guys. There's only one conservative.
Stop.
The one true conservative.
Definition of Christian nationalism, then
Everyone
we're
stop.
already a Christian nation because
Okay.
the
You're
majority
referring to
of our
orthodoxy, correct,
politicians
Pedro?
identify.
I would like to hear his
I'm about to
response.
mute you, mother trucker.
I'm not Eastern Orthodox. I'm
This is a weak
Reformed Southern
definition.
Baptist. I'm Reformed Southern Baptist. The definition that you're
That's a
operating
great
on, my
question,
friend,
OAS.
is
I might
wrong,
ask him that.
because if the primary goal for these politicians is not to present the gospel presentation to people who actually need it and actually instill laws that promotes God's word in terms of reflecting his word in the institution of our government, and they're not Christian. I don't really care what kind of like fundraisers they're running. You want to hear what real Christian national policies are? Don't send your kids to public school.
Give to Caesar what
Homeschool.
is Caesar's.
Wait, doesn't Marjorie Taylor Greene homeschooling and
Hey, Spartacus.
What did he just say?
Spartacus just made a very good statement. You pay your taxes. You're supposed to be doing what? Going to church where they're going to be instilling morals in you, going into the ballot box and exercising those top morals by saying, hey, this man says that he's behind God. He knows his word. I'm going to vote for him. That's simple Christian nationalism in exercise. What Spartacus's problem is, and what probably some others' part is, you guys live online in these discords hearing about people who want to establish monarchies, overthrow the government, and all this crazy fantastical stuff, when simply it's not that complicated. A Christian nationalist is not doing anything crazy that is against the Constitution. He's simply using all the tools that the Constitution actually lays out and allows him to exercise his morals, which then downstream into the creation of politics, which is the process of codifying those morals into law.
So what do you believe the
Very
separation
simple.
of church
which
and
is
state is?
different than what's happening currently.
I can tell you that's a good that's another good question. What is the separation of church and state? Well, I don't want Pope Francis or Father Kirill saying we get to choose who the next president is, or this is going to be the next policy is. The separation of church and state simply meant that no, just because you're a pastor at the church doesn't mean you have any kind of government power. That's not what it is at all. The separation of church and state is just saying this. Those institutions, while they have hierarchical structures within them, they do not commingle and coalesce with one another. But the people who make up both those institutions can come from the church and occupy the offices of that government, where naturally they were going to exercise their morals. This is not complicated. This is, once again, not radical. It's pretty much being shown in real time when we see what's happening with Roe v. Wade being overturned. We didn't have no riots. We didn't do anything crazy. We had a whole bunch of people and lawyers and people donate and put together an amicus brief that produced something that was presented to the Supreme Court. Those judges voted on it, and something happened in the favor of the Christian movement.
This is a whole lot
Yay.
of nothing.
So I wanted to say earlier you said that
I know, Spartacus, because you don't know what actual Christianity period is.
I don't know what Christianity period is. That's an awfully bold statement.
Yeah, period.
And I would argue that you need to take the log out of your own eye before you look at the speck in mine.
Well, I took the log out and I'm using it to batter it over your head. So this is what's really happening. Yeah, this is what's happening. You forgot the purpose. You forgot the purpose that God lays out for government in the Bible. Do you know
Isn't
that?
there like
come on, guys, stop fighting. We're all brothers in Christ.
True.
No. He needs to get
We can look
swatted
at Romans.
live.
We can look at Romans.
What?
Romans, you want to look at Romans?
Whoa.
You're saying
I love Romans. I love Romans.
Whoa.
I love Romans. I love Romans.
Do you love
Let's
Romans
go.
13?
All of it, yes.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
What's the purpose of government? What's the purpose of government?
Can he say that?
That's a question.
Go ahead.
Can't answer.
Go ahead. I'm waiting for you. Go ahead.
Yeah. The purpose of
asking
government
you a
is
question.
the purpose of government is to reflect God's justice in the exercise of our institutions on this earth. It's upholding God's law.
Pedro, can I ask you a question? Did you say something about swatting?
Biblical.
Yeah.
I'll swat him over the head, not swat
swatting
like get
the-
raided.
Okay, just making
was
sure.
not- it was not-
Because you said he
No,
wanted
no,
to
no.
get swatted live,
All right,
and I
you
was
internet nerds.
Okay,
wasn't
okay, just
talking
making
about
sure.
biblical. All right,
I don't
I
know.
thought the same
So
thing.
I'm going to tell you right now, I don't live online, sir. I don't know all these terms you're
I don't
talking
live-
about.
Oh. My bad.
Well, sir, so Spartacus, this is where I have to kind of, not to say, attack you, but I need to press you because of this.
I don't know.
You
He seems
think
boomer
that
enough to me,
Christians
Arizoa,
should
that I
not
would believe it.
occupy offices in our government and didn't
When did I state
exercise their
that?
morals?
When
I'm
you-
He's
asking-
definitely
I'm
brain
asking in a
poisoned, but it's
condescending
not.
manner
It's
because I
not
don't know
internet
where you
brain
stand right now.
poisoning.
You call yourself Christian, but then you say separation of church and state, like we're not supposed to be involved in this whole politics game when politics
I have
is
no
the process
clue,
of
Elder Raven.
codifying your
Zero
morals
clue.
into
It started
law.
at 9.
I'm trying to fill you out. Where are you coming from?
There
Maybe
can be
I'm wrong.
morals-
Correct me.
There can be morals that are drawn from faith. I don't disagree. There can be morals that are drawn from faith. But where I do disagree is when there are certain applications of law that are used solely based on your faith. In the United States, we have this awesome thing called freedom of religion, which was very important.
No,
to
he
the
was
Christians when they
immediately
moved
on it.
here.
He's like,
And so there I think we
swat him
should
over the head.
pursue freedom of religion. God gave us freedom of choice. He gave us the freedom to
Uh-oh,
choose.
he's doing the white
And I
nationalist
don't think
symbol.
we should take that away from other people and force them to be Christians by changing the entire law into the Bible. So no, that seems to disagree with the entirety of the Bible and the entirety of the Constitution.
Let's slow down and see if we can get rid of the fog. So, are you aware of the amicus brief specifically that actually was presented to the Supreme Court to overturn Roe v. Wade, and who actually constructed that document? I'm not trying to get a gotcha here. I'm just asking.
I did
I'll
not
tell
read
you.
the amicus brief.
Okay, cool. I'll tell you this. It was Dennis Arfate, that's the name of the leader, and Action for Life, who brought together many other different Christian organization groups, funded, got the money, got the signatures to get the lawyers to put together the document that in its lists of authorities, it puts the Bible first in striking down abortion on a federal level, sending it back to the states so that they each can decide for themselves. Do you think that is not a biblical move by Christian nationalism?
No, I don't think it's a biblical move by Christian nationalism.
And what is?
I'm confused in the question. What do you mean? What is a biblical move by Christian nationalism?
Wait,
Nacho, go
so
for it.
so you're fine with, so you're not against like abortion being, basically unrestricted, like legal abortion, right?
I think it should be. I think my opinion is it should be legal, safe, and rare. But the idea that this was sent back to the states is due to an argumentation that was shaky to begin with, which is the entire argument I've been making the entire time. It should have been codified long ago to make it legal, safe, and rare.
So, but the Bible, it says that all life is sacred, right?
Yes.
That human life, especially.
Yes.
So then, how is it not Christian to not allow abortion? I don't understand.
See, we also have the freedom of religion, and people are free to not be a Christian inside the United States.
What religion?
The basis upon
What religion is like? What religious backing do you need to kill babies? I don't understand. What religion is in
all
support
right,
of
Nacho,
that?
do you think a woman should be forced to carry a baby that was
We could do the abortion
was the
debate.
parent of the
I'm just
rapist?
asking,
I'm asking a question. No, I know. This it's gonna be brief.
Before we start debating
Okay.
abortion.
Yeah,
It's gonna be
We're about
brief.
to get into a whole other
Pedro a
thing.
little bit here for a second, if I
Nationalism.
may.
All right, let's let Looter go.
Yeah.
He hasn't talked in a long time.
Yeah, so I think, Pedro, part of where my confusion is coming from a little bit is that it seems like, so from my understanding, you're saying that if you're a Christian, to be a good Christian, you need to be prophesizing like the gospel, and that needs to be reflected in political activism. So you should be like, if you're a good Christian, you should be running for office, you should be voting for Christian candidates, and you should be trying to push Christian policy. Am I correct in that understanding?
Yeah, I would say this simply, just to prophesying is when you're actually like making things for the future. So saying the gospel is not prophesying, but saying the gospel is a commission given to every single Christian, no matter what level of authority or where you are at. That's simply it. I took notes on you and Luther, and you talked about liberalism, and there is something.
I actually have a follow up to that question, if I may. So
yes, sir.
From my understanding, like there are Bible verses in the Bible that explicitly tell Christians like not to engage with law because it's worthless. I'm referring to like Titus 3:9 and Romans 13:1-7, if you're familiar with those.
Yes, sir. I think it's actually referring to laws that were constructed by Jews.
Well, thank you, Arizoa.
Yeah. Those are laws by Jews that were supposed to be thwarting people from actually hearing the gospel. So that's what he was talking about there. Concerning actual law, our laws are very simple, and our exercise in Christian nationalism is even simpler. On a grassroots level, all I'm asking for people to do is simply don't give your children over to the educational system, because it's totally been subverted and infiltrated by people.
Listen, guys, all I'm asking is that you don't send your kids to get educated at school. It's a very simple request, really. Yeah, okay, dude.
Okay, dude. Actually gonna have something worth saying or hearing, you would have said it at the very beginning, okay? Instead of like pretending to be a redneck. All right, just
look. You think that we're killing babies by giving
abortion,
abortions, so you can shut up.
Well, you are killing babies. I won't engage. No rabbit hole, but do keep going
to Romans 13.
Life at first breath.
I know you had one.
Yes, I do.
Because from my understanding, it's saying that like all states and all authority comes from God, and that to resist that is like going against God's word, and that you'll be stricken for that.
Later.
Oh, correct. That is said there. And what I'm saying is this: we're not trying to cause a rebellion within the government. We're trying to interact with the tools that have naturally been laid down by the institution and use it to get our policies put through. So I believe this. Yes, there is a time where abortion was legal.
Don't ask me how,
and,
yes.
you know, that evil was deserving to be brought upon this nation, because the Christians said, I don't need to vote. I can just chill. It's not my job. You know, my morals don't really matter if they come into codification in the government. I would say that. So I'm not asking anyone to actually subvert any of the laws in our government. I'm merely saying, hey, there's a law there that's unbiblical. There's a process that is laid out by the government to get it revoked. Use that process. Roe v. Wade demonstrates that. So I'm not asking for a rebellion or the restructuring of our government to some weird monarchy or anything crazy like that.
Right,
yeah, you're asking very simple things like not sending kids to get educated. It's pretty reasonable.
Well,
so
let me.
Can I definitely? Do you guys mind if I just deafen him? Do you guys mind if I just?
Oh, are you canceling me? You're so mad.
It's just nothing. You're just not saying anything worth even like notating. I don't know what.
You just said don't send kids to school. I would like.
Okay, Nacho.
Shut the fuck up.
Okay, Nacho. I'll try and actually interact with the troll seriously. I'll interact seriously with
Dog, you sound like a fucking troll. You know that, right? Like you don't sound like a serious person.
Stop.
Yeah.
Okay, stop. I'm gonna bring us back on track. We'll flutter past whatever Alex said. I didn't even hear what he said. Let's try to put it back on track, and I'll ask Pedro this because at the beginning when he was interacting with Dylan, he said that he didn't hasn't seen people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Laura Boebert give examples where they were actually enacting an authentic Christian nationalism. So my question, what is your perception of that movement that seems to be gaining a lot of traction among the right? And what do you think its relationship with I guess
Why are we
Christianity?
doing this? Why is, I mean, this has become the Pedro show, and anyone who has nuanced takes
Wait,
against
is that
isn't
wait?
able
Didn't
able to
the-
get to the nuance.
Yeah,
I just don't know why
fucking
it's becoming the
Pedro's the only
Pedro
one
show.
here who's defending Christian
Is this fucking
nationalism.
Spartacus
He's
panel or
just
is this a Binks
mad.
panel? I'm pretty sure the host just asked somebody a question.
And
Yeah,
I'm,
it was a
I'm
good
asking
question,
why.
too.
Yeah, so just fucking pipe down in the back, okay?
Dude, Dylan's so
I'll ask you a
asking
question.
why,
Next.
why,
I'll ask you a
why?
question next.
Oh,
Brad.
God,
Okay,
he's
that's
so
actually a
done.
All right, ask me a question next, then. I appreciate it.
He's like, it's all coming back to me.
Yeah, on a real sense, the if I have to say with brevity, exercise of Christian morals and ethics in the political sphere taught by the church and God's word are what produces actual Christian nationalism. Not some weird riot, overturning of the government in any way, simply using the tools laid out by the Constitution, by our forefathers who wrote the Declaration of Independence through a biblical lens, have laid out for us. Those tools are also able to be used by evil people. I think they should be also used by the good people, or the Christian people. Based on the level of activism or involvement on those two groups, you will get biblical laws, and those, obviously, if not, you will get the other. That's it, simply. That's my exercise. So to answer, to go for it seriously, I'm not going to call you a troll, sir. I'm sorry. What's your name again? Sorry. What's your name again?
My name is Alec.
Alec, I'm sorry for calling you a troll. It's just that this world has been, the internet world is very
I'm not
weird.
sorry.
You got it. Yeah.
You don't got to be sorry.
Yeah,
I don't care.
Yeah, but Alec, here's this. To answer it simply, I'm not saying you just don't give your children education. There are plenty of homeschool groups within your own neighborhood. I put my life on it, that are around, that are willing to come with you and your wife, with your child.
I'm going to stop you right there.
Curriculum.
I'm going to stop you right there because I still fundamentally disagree with you. Public school is a necessity. We have to have a standard, a national standard for what we are teaching our children and how we are bringing them up to prepare them for the world. We have to have that.
Schooling falls under that standard, man.
Oh,
It's
how would
like,
it-
where do
what-
the curriculum comes from for homeschooling?
What did I miss? How is that going away under Christian nationalism?
It's going away under private institutions.
Well, Alec, let me just answer you softly and surely. I never said that I want to get rid of the public educational school system. And Spartacus said it correctly. You give to Caesar what it is. I'm not saying we don't pay our taxes. So I fully recognize the groups of people who have zero ability. I just can't, or not really. They don't have the ability to. It's more of a want. They don't want to homeschool their kids under a biblical curriculum that still produces many people, like my wife, who are very functional out in this world, able to even go into college out of homeschooling. So your public educational school system, which teaches things that I disagree with, can still stand. I just don't want to send my child there. That's all I'm saying.
Can I talk about this for a second? Because
Yes, sir.
this was something you said earlier on, actually. You were talking about, and I don't think you want to abolish.
You're still
public
fucking
schools, but
wrong.
You talked about specifically politicians making it easier for kids to be able to be homeschooled, possibly giving resources so they could be taught in a biblical education. They can be taught about, God, as well as the math sciences, but they also have a biblical grounding in their education, right? And I think that's, and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Chip Roy actually sponsored legislation specifically to make it easier, to make it so federal funds can specifically be devoted to kids who are homeschooled, who are getting a biblical education. And so for me, again, you're talking about these policies that you want to implement, and I look around and the people implementing are the people you're saying that are not your guys,
But it's not a policy, because the homeschool systems that I'm talking about already exist. The public school system already exists, and I don't want to do anything to it. And if anybody is familiar with the way these are financially structured, these homeschool organizations, churches already support them. They already got the money. They're already fine. And these politicians who are talking to you and telling you that, hey, we want to give you more freedom to, with the tax dollars that are afforded to each and every child, be able to say, hey, this is where my tax dollar goes to fund my kid's education and form the curriculum that he wants. That's already happening too. In the state of Arizona, you get $7,000 for a semester afforded to your child, and you get to choose to whether to send them to the public school, to a private school of your choice, or you can say, hey, we're homeschooling, and you submit the documentation for the curriculum you're trying the person to educate your child. So everybody's still getting what they want. The real thing I think that's happening here is, and this is where I put on my little tinfoil hat, is educational system is an indoctrination system. Your guys' ideology, your worldview won't exist any longer.
What are they teaching in schools that you disagree with?
If in point of fact, I don't give you any more of my children because you guys aren't having children. You praise on aborting your own children, so you murder them in the womb, so they don't even exist. And my child's at home. So what's really going to happen here in the future is what I see is this. This is my tinfoil hat prediction. You guys are going to vanish into mythology. That institution is going to be empty. It's going to be occupied with Christians who say, okay, the crazies are gone. Now we can reoccupy it. And really, I'm not saying let's do something to you. I'm just doing the last man standing game, which is, hey, I'm just not going to give you my child. That's all we want. It doesn't have to be exercised through policy.
For you, Pedro.
See, that's when the trans agenda comes in and saves the day for the left. You got to wait for that to come in.
Yeah.
But
Pedro,
the thing
I have
is,
a question for you.
Again,
if I may, Dylan.
I guess for me, then if anything, Marjorie Taylor Greene goes further than you do here, where she's actually trying to make it even easier and get more funding allocated for homeschooling. She's going further than you would on the homeschooling route. But then you're the one saying she's not the true Christian nationalist.
What's up, KP?
I don't know. It feels like every
Are you
policy
winning?
position you can present that's like the Christian.
I'm having fun, so
like,
I guess that's
nationalist
winning,
policy
right?
position.
So I still don't understand, like, what is the point of
whether it be
pinning
on abortion,
Green to Christian
on
nationalism?
homeschooling, and taking kids out of public school. I mean, I've seen many of these elected supposed Christian nationalists actively saying publicly, take your kids out of public school. Promoting that.
For the sake of getting
actually said that.
So for the sake of getting to the point of whatever you have to say, let's say that it's conceded that that sure, Marjorie Taylor Greene is a Christian nationalist. Okay, then what?
Well, we're having a definition
to pin this person specifically to the definition.
Like, what is a Christian nationalist and like moving forward definitionally? But if we could just like move past that and just talk about whether it's a good way to run society if we want to.
I'm more interested in exploring his worldview, to be honest, than debating over like a definition of his MGP.
That's fine.
I'm just curious how this plays into like where we go next. Like, let's say,
I'd rather give Pedro a break and let's let Nacho finish.
What?
Okay, so I guess like
He's
going
just
from
a
there,
hype man.
I
It's
know
okay.
you were asking Pedro.
Now that
you
we've-
can answer, but I'm just curious
Okay, I thought you were asking me.
to go there. I'll take a note. I'll ask it again after.
I have a question for you, Pedro, actually. So you mentioned that like you consider public schooling to be indoctrination. I'm just kind of curious, like what is a meaningful distinction between public schools being considered indoctrination
Probably
and somebody who wants to homeschool their kid and raise them under this like Christian worldview where they're teaching them the Bible? Why do you not consider that to be indoctrination, but public schools to be indoctrination?
It's a good.
Like, would you
I
consider
would
it
have worded it
indoctrination?
differently, but okay, question.
I would say I would concede at what you're getting at, which indoctrination sounds like a, very harsh word. I would say this: we all have our biases, right? Irrefutably, that bias will come through into the curriculum and to the morals that you will instill my child with. So actually, there is no difference. You can call them both indoctrination centers. I don't really mind. I just don't want my child to be indoctrinated with the ideology that promotes. I'm not trying to rabbit hole, but you see on TikTok and stuff, and what the teachers are saying, and all this kind of weird stuff that they want to promote.
I wonder what he meant by that.
All this stuff.
But I wonder what he meant by that.
A biblical worldview. That's what I'd say about that. So I would concede that indoctrination in terms of curriculum, what makes your curriculum not indoctrinating? I would say no. I would still be pushing my bias morals into that curriculum.
So what exactly?
I just wanted to see
Christians
if there was a
can't go
distinction
to
there, that's all.
school. So
Even if we
Christians
point
can't go to
backwards
school.
in history, and we can look at
Not what
like
he's saying,
how our public schools were operating and where we were
In large
at as
part.
far as like rating us versus other nations in education, we were a lot more intelligent. We were keeping pace with the rest of the world at a much higher level than we are now, and basically all the Christians and Republicans essentially have stepped away from even bothering with public education, at least on the federal level, definitely for the past like 50 years plus. So we can already point to the education system as a problem and say that it's already failing us, regardless of whether or not you believe that we should be praying in school or not. We're failing under an atheist or a more democratic, liberal, or libertarian operation anyways.
So
Hey,
I would
Pedro.
give two responses to that if possible. Okay,
Sir.
I was a little bit curious what you meant by things they're teaching in school that you don't agree with. Just a little curious. Like what don't you agree with?
Sharing of their romantic life.
Oh, so like,
before we jump into that, can I give two responses? Because I know where this
Sure.
is going. I just want to give two responses. The
No,
first,
no. But Dylan, I want to
Yeah.
say really quickly, whether it's a straight or non-straight romantic lifestyle, I don't want it. Period. Presented to the children.
so what? You
See,
can't
when I
say
grew
that
up-
you
when I
have
grew
a
up in so-
husband?
when-
okay,
When I grew up in school, I never had any of the conversations that you guys are having in schools now.
I wasn't going to ask about that. I was
Bible
going to ask
has
about
those
Okay.
very
All right,
same
I don't-
conversations.
I assumed that was your position, but
respond.
I wanted to ask about something else. So the first thing I wanted to respond to Nacho when you said we're failing under the liberal or democratic system of education. Just because our system isn't perfect when it comes to our educational system, it has a lot of flaws, and I think we all agree it has flaws. You just disagree on the
One
solution.
second, guys. I'm
obviously.
resetting it. It was getting
Doesn't
choppy.
mean that the solution that you're promising as an alternative could necessarily produce a better outcome. In fact, it could be possible, could actually produce a
It
worse
has in
outcome.
the past.
For example,
we were like 90% Christian nation at the time when our education was at its peak.
but how do you know that 90% education rate? Wait, wait, what do you mean by education when it has a peak? What do you mean by that?
Like compared to other like nation, when we're comparing ourselves to other nations, like we do all the time, and we come out with these polls and we say like, oh well, nobody knows shit. Like we have TV shows to make fun of how fucking stupid.
As far as I know,
We're
it's more
smarter than
that
a
we
fifth grader.
stagnated more than we declined, right?
So I mean, sure, we're a first world nation, and we're still dominating in that regard, and we have the biggest military on the planet. So we're still rich enough to.
Is there any nation on the
maintain
planet that has this more like
we're being surpassed by
like religious-based
countries with.
education that is smashing it in the tech sector and the modern science sector?
By the way, what he said
like-
about people sharing their romantic lives is a
Because all the
complete
ones that are
cop-out.
doing the
It's-
Nobody
it's
gave a
science and
fuck
literacy
until gay
rates and
people got
education
involved.
rates
Not
and,
a
like, higher
single
education
goddamn fuck,
are
okay?
the more secular
Complete cop-out,
societies with secular
spineless.
education systems.
Absolutely spineless.
And the ones that are the most religiously devout societies usually have lower literacy rates on average.
Well, sir, I think I can subvert the whole thing for you. Christian nationalism isn't about focusing on the consequences. It's about adhering to the deontological morals and ethics prescribed through the Bible.
Yeah,
I
God
don't
comes
care. I don't
for all.
care. I don't care what you say. You're never going to get me to capitulate to drag queen story time
Well, I
being
wasn't talking
something
about
that needs to be in our
Nacho.
curriculum. It doesn't need to be there.
I was responding to Nacho because Nacho was saying that this religious system of education is more effective, and I was trying to just say I don't think that's the case. So
And
whether or not you disagree with the morals of it, I'm talking about outcomes with Nacho right now. I understand that doesn't matter to you, but I think it matters to Nacho, and that's why I'm talking to him. But
Yeah,
I have a
so-
question for you as well, if I could just say that quick. You
Well,
said that
but-
you
Yeah,
think
I'll
that, like
remember.
you're like eventually with all this homeschooling and all this stuff that's happening, like us, we're stopping our breeding processes. We're like being gay and stuff now, and eventually we're gonna be so gay and we're gonna be so abortiony that we're gonna not have as many kids, and you guys are gonna the Mormons and you guys are probably gonna take over because you're having kids and you're being righteous. And my question to you would be, why is it that church membership, like church attendance in the United States, is at the lowest point it's ever been in history, and it's continuing to decline
I'm
even
ready, Honey
throughout
Master.
evangelical revivals? I mean, the highest it went back to
can answer
during the
that.
evangelical revival was 70%. Now it's at 47.
What is it?
I
What,
can
what are you citing from that though?
Do research.
Is that like how recent, like from the last couple of years, or is
2020.
it like 2020
2020 is 47%.
during the pandemic?
Well, I would just say
Before the
this: the
pandemic
reason
was-
why that's happening.
So it was
Well,
50%, then it was
Nearly
47. So it dropped 3%.
drunk enough for this. I'll
So
be
it wasn't.
honest.
It's an indication of a
It's
large
only a
pandemic.
3%.
I
Wait,
should've
well, let
come
me.
into this
Okay,
hammered.
let me read you the data then. I'll read you the data so you know that I'm not cherry
Or
picking.
you can shoot it to me. if
If you're
you're-
Boring.
2000,
No-
let me
no data
not
mail.
cherry. You accused me of
No, no.
cherry picking, so I want to make sure. Or you
Data
said I could
mail.
be cherry
All right.
picking.
Well,
Let me read
I don't
the
want
data.
to cut off.
Year-
Pedro was trying to respond to your question, so if you want to shoot it to me, I'll read. I'll look at it real quick too. Whatever you want to do is
Okay,
fine with
I
me.
can
though.
do it, but let me just read for the people who are watching then, because there's
Okay.
the cherry picking thing. The year 2000, it was 70%. 2005, it was 64. 2010, it was 61. 2015, 57. Then it was 55. Then it was 50, and then pandemic 47. But it's a downward trend. It's declining.
Listening, can you do it
It's
one more
not.
time?
It's not. There's not like this huge explosion in
Is
religious
Dylan live right
attendance.
now? By
So
any chance?
my question is, why do you think you guys are going to take over if the trend seems to indicate that church attendance is dropping? Because these are the fake Christians too. A lot of people call themselves Christian like me, but they're fake Christians like me. And so that they're not true Christians like you. So the true Christians seems to be
Facts.
fading.
Yeah, the simple answer is
That
this,
they're-
and the interlocutive faith, it's just like
Yes.
a last man standing game. If you promote in a time
Wonder what
where
they're
the
saying
birth
about me.
rate is at its lowest and still declining, that abortion should be performed rampantly and at will, the group that promotes that will naturally just fade away. The group that says, no, I'm going to take responsibility no matter the circumstances for the life of this child, and keeps that child in an institution that says be fruitful and multiply, they will naturally, just through sheer numbers, overtake. I think it is hyperbole I was using earlier. You won't vanish, right? Your ideology won't vanish. It will just have dramatically less support in the years to come.
I
You
guess
say
for
that,
me,
but
one
it's
last
not that
thing
way
before other
historically.
people, because I'll let go, because I know everybody wants to talk about other things.
All right, fine.
I guess for me is the other societies like Sweden or Nordic countries, a lot of European countries, which have a lot closer to abortion on demand, which have moved towards that, as they have made that more accessible, and the liberals take advantage of it, and the really conservative types in these countries don't. That hasn't reversed church attendance rates in these countries. Their church attendance rates are still going down. It seems to be that there seems to be a correlation between high levels of education in these countries and lower levels of religiosity, and that seems to be true across the board, across all societies almost. I think the one society.
I mean,
where
it's
it
kind of
might-
unfair.
It's not
might-
surprising when atheism and Marxism and all of that are being pushed in every single university.
And it's kind of unfair to say that to us, where in the last 2 to 3,
It's true.
and
All
it's
of my
kind of
college
unfair to say
professors
that
taught
in
me
a,
Marxism.
and it's kind of unfair to say that
Even
in a
science.
time zone where for the last 2 to 3 years, places like Canada has been chaining up and locking up churches and not allowing people to actually go to church
Well,
and
then
locking them
before
up in their
that,
rooms.
I mean, this is true
So
in
it's not really a
2010,
fair time to
2015,
actually
for
say,
the
hey,
last
where's church
years.
attendance?
Are you
Church
referring to
attendance has
COVID
been
restrictions,
plummeting for
Pedro?
50 years,
Are you
and it'll
referring to
continue
COVID
to
Can you
lockdowns?
send me that? Can
plummet
you send me
another
that?
All right,
You
stop.
still never
Dylan,
sent me
Dylan
that.
gets to
So,
respond.
can
Shut
I-
up. Shut
can
up.
I get that?
Shut up. Nacho, shut up. Dylan, respond. Thank you.
The thing for me
Dylan,
is,
start this thing.
yeah, you can say that Marxism is being promoted in these institutions and atheism is being promoted in these institutions. You can use whatever justification, whether it was Marx or Charles Darwin that's causing this. These societies, which are having abortion more freely accessible, much more accessible than they are in the United States, are continuing to see church attendance go down as the liberals of those societies make use of abortion. And so that's why I don't understand, because it's not just I'm looking at America, I'm looking worldwide. Is there any society which has made abortion more and more accessible, and that has led to a revival of religiosity because they just aborted all the liberals, or they aborted most of them or a lot of them to a significant degree?
Well, on a national and worldwide scale, there are a lot of Christians who, such as China, where I've actually had the privilege of sneaking Bibles into because they don't actually allow Christians to practice their faith. They
Yes.
don't get to
The
attend
one
a church,
thing
so on a
that people in
worldwide
China
basis, there are
need,
many places
Bibles.
where
We all
are
know it,
still
folks.
being
We all know
persecuted
it.
to this day in that form. So on a
Doing
worldwide
very good
basis,
work.
church
It's also
attendance
not-
means
it's
nothing.
also-
May
It's also
I
not
finish
taken
there?
into
But
effect.
on
It's also
American,
not
but on
taken into-
American
China
scale,
doesn't put out
but on-
numbers of who
but on
attends
an
Christian
American
church.
but on an American scale, but on the scale of
back, baby.
Listen,
yeah,
No,
but
I'm just saying China doesn't put out numbers to these places on which Christians attend church and which ones don't. Like China's not putting these numbers out because China doesn't believe that Christians should be able to go to church. So saying that China being involved in these studies is basically saying that the studies would be refuted. I guarantee China's numbers were not recorded because China doesn't put out numbers based on that.
Hey,
I just-
how about North Korea? Are there Christians in North Korea who are allowed to attend
real quick,
church?
I want to commend Pedro.
How about the Middle
Not.
East?
I want to commend Pedro because I can't think of a
Depends on the
single
country.
thing that children in Chinese sweatshops need more than a Bible. Seriously, good job. Very good. Very proud of you.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, you got him. Nice
Okay.
I don't think
contribution,
that
bud.
I don't think that was sincere, but we'll keep moving along. All right. Anybody got anything else?
Yeah, I
Scott?
mean, I think
I would just retort the whole thing with this. Church attendance is not the nomenclature to judge how many Christians are in the world. I would say this simply, like I said again before, if you guys want to at mass have block parties where you see 3 girls take the Plan B pill for fun, Yay! As the birth rate in the society is down, has been going down, cool. That's up to you. Go for it. But what's going to happen is the people, us, who honor the womb, because we know that's where God makes life, say, I'm going to keep the child, and I'm also going to be fruitful and have even more children. We're just going to overtake you naturally. It's not really that complicated. It's very logical. It's a last man standing game. I don't mind church attendance being down once again, because what's been happening for the past 2 to 3 years? Nations going crazy and locking up churches due to lockdowns. So you can't really attend church. So the metric makes no sense. It means nothing.
I still want to see that study. So
I'll send it to you. I've been interlocuting.
okay.
I've been an interlocutor for the last few minutes.
Interlocking, bro.
I don't even know what that word means, but I agree.
Demonstrable in society. I just don't think people are going to abort their ideology away. It just hasn't been demonstrated in any society. And yes, China
get off
is
of abortion
extremely
for 1
restrictive
second?
towards Christians. It shouldn't be that way. But there's a lot of societies that aren't throughout Europe that have these policies of abortion that are continuing the trend of lower church attendance, lower Christians overall, lower religiosity. So I haven't seen this shown. I just haven't seen it like shown in the world. And I mean, yeah, there's nations that are restrictive when it comes to churches, but I'm not even using those countries as examples because they don't publish data, like Sproutic has said.
How about if I did it this way for you, Dylan? What if I did?
I think your position.
I just want to interact with. I need to interact with Dylan because I need to run the point through. Dylan, is the birth rate up or down?
English only liner bond.
I assume it's down. It
Next
depends on
one
the
will
country.
be 10 minutes.
Okay, I agree. It's down. Just looking at our country, who do you think on the average more is actually aborting their child? The Christian or anybody else? The non-believer? Who have you?
Probably anybody else. Well, the non-religious, I would say.
It depends. Do they have mistresses?
Perfect. So if we
that was a good burn. That was good.
Points together and walk forward and ask this in the next 200 years. That is how it is going down. The birth rate is down, and it's mainly the people who are non-religious doing it. Who do you think is going to overtake the population?
I think the impact of abortion, it would be marginal, definitely on an ideological basis. And just because somebody's a Christian doesn't necessarily mean that they're not even necessarily going to get an abortion. There's been many, quote unquote, we'll say fake Christians in office who have mistresses and then get abortions anyway.
Let me get a word in as well.
I just think the impact on the birth rate is going to be marginal, and ultimately, where you're going to see the largest amount of birth rates are going to be in big cities, which are largely liberal.
I'll let you have the last word on that and let Alec get in. Alec, go for it.
Pedro, you do understand that just because Christians have children does not mean those children will also grow up and be Christian, right? I came from a Christian household and I'm an atheist piece of shit. So I just don't know where this idea is coming from. Like, just because, like, it's not an ingrained thing. It's not in your DNA.
Your parents and your household.
Huh? What? I didn't hear you.
Alex, say that one more time. I don't think he heard you.
Oh.
Can Alec hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nacho, can you hear us?
He didn't hear what Nacho said.
I didn't hear what Nacho said.
Nacho, repeat your statement to the public. Please.
Oh yeah, you can make you're an atheist piece of shit claim all you want, but you got all of your morals from Christianity and from your Christian household first.
If you want to say that, sure, but I can still hold those morals without believing in God.
You admitted that you were raised in a Christian. You were raised Christian.
Yeah, and while I was still in that Christian household, all of my morals were different. I was conservative until I was like 18.
All of your morals were different.
Almost all of them.
But okay, may I ask this?
Wait, how are what morals have changed now versus then?
Well, first of all, I believe in the right to bodily autonomy for women. I believe that gay people deserve the right to be together in marriage. We can get to that if you want, but I believe that. I'm
asking.
Huh?
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
I believe that trans people deserve the right to transition, including trans children. I believe in science, evolution, whereas before I was a little bit skeptical on it just because of the household I was raised in. I believe that Christopher Columbus was a piece of shit, whereas in the household I was raised in, they thought that he was basically God's second coming or something. I don't know. So
I'm
a lot has
waiting
changed.
for like some moral foundational like rule for you that has changed.
A moral foundational rule.
Like a like
How about bodily autonomy? There's a good one. Bodily autonomy.
Like when you fucking throw a ball, it's gonna fall down, right?
Bodily autonomy.
What moral law for your?
He's asking about the foundation
you
blocks.
has
So
changed.
which moral foundation block has changed? Which is
it
going
like,
to
can you
inevitably
go
put you,
kill
which is
somebody
going to
now?
which is going to inevitably put you at nothing. You're gonna think
Can
you're
you go
gonna say
cheat on
no
your wife?
no.
Can you go? I mean,
I don't know
what can
why-
you do now that you weren't doing then?
I'm in an
you
open
didn't-
relationship,
no?
so I can fuck other people if I want. Is that good? Like, it's not cheating.
Well,
Like,
Alec, can I interact with you for a second?
Sure.
Can I ask you? So you just said there should be gay marriages, right? They
Yeah.
should be able to commit to abortions. They
Yeah.
should be able to transition, right?
Yeah.
If they're constantly transitioning at mass, if they're constantly aborting at mass, and if they're constantly in non-heterosexual relationships where natural conception can take place, don't you think it's going to be hard for those people to conceive and maintain any significant size in the population in the next 200 years?
My friend, do you think that just because being gay is allowed that everybody will turn gay?
No, not at all. Not
Okay,
at all.
then I don't see the
Can
problem.
you answer my question that I just asked you though?
I just don't understand it at all. You're
Okay,
supposing
I understand
that if you're
It's
allowed,
actually-
Can I
it's
ask a
such-
question real
it's
quick?
such a simple question. It's actually such a simple question. Like it really just comes down to like, and if I understand it correctly, Pedro, just let me know. But like, you're saying that people who value having kids and have kids are inevitably going to have more kids than people who don't value having kids and
Right,
don't
but
have kids.
but those kids aren't necessarily going to
right?
believe the things that
I love
you do.
talking to Luder, dude. Luder, I missed you. I don't know where
That's
you
it.
were hiding, but yeah, incredibly simple. So the question then still remains after you now have the logic. Do you think that those people committing to those acts will maintain a high significant population in society in the future?
I don't think they give a shit. I think they just want to live their lives.
Okay, I'm not gonna get a yes or no. So, and
follow-up
next question.
Do you think
follow-up
that gay
question,
people are spawned from other gay people, or do they come from straight people?
I think it's mostly taught, and then there might be some genetic variation.
Well, you're wrong, but there you go.
I mean, like,
I mean,
look,
how-
like,
wait,
Scientifically wrong.
How do you think that homosexuality, the behavior of homosexuality, would survive?
Gonna have to Google
What-
this.
what-
Hold-
I don't care if it
say,
survives.
for example, like let's look
That's
at like
not my-
animals, right?
I don't
let's
want
look at
people
animals,
to
right?
be gay.
What-
I
the-
want people to do
all
what they
the
want.
animals that are any animals that are homosexual that have homosexual behavior, like permanently.
Yes, there are
do not
animals that have
survive. They do
homosexual
not
behavior.
reproduce,
What?
right? They don't reproduce. They cannot reproduce, right?
Lesbian lizards can, but no. In general, no, and it doesn't really matter.
Then that doesn't sound like they're sexed, like the same.
But where did those gay
Moderator,
animals
is
come
it-
from?
Moderator,
Where did
is it possible we can give it over to Luder? Because I feel like
this
he'll
is?
give some good
Hold on,
questions that are
you're,
actually
you're
like,
blowing my mind
productive.
here. So
I got a question.
Fair enough.
you,
I just
Can
don't know
we-
how you had an
I'll,
issue
I'm gonna
as
put
to
a
how.
lid on this. We're
Like-
actually coming near to the end of the panel anyway. I'll let
It's ending? Oh,
This is-
okay, that was quick.
Yeah, it's like hour 40 minutes. So yeah, I'll let.
Lightweights.
It's-
Lightweights, Pedro.
Apparently,
Lightweights.
Pedro was right. It turned into everyone versus Pedro. Who knew? But
I feel like Nacho was on my team actually. Thank
Yeah,
you,
that's-
Nacho.
Nacho was too.
hey Nacho, wait, are we done? Or
Even
are we wrapping
Luder
up?
came in for me and helped clarify a simple logical point at some point.
Look,
So
I-
thank
I'm
you.
just
I'll,
trying to
uh,
understand your position. I guess other people aren't interested in doing that. So
Okay, I'll let
Not
Luder
really.
get Luder. You can go, and then we'll go into closing.
I mean, look, like if you're not interested in like exploring somebody else's ideas. and
Oh, I
worldview, then
explored
what
it. I'm
the fuck
good.
are you doing here, bro?
I
Like,
explored it
We're
enough.
here,
I'm good,
we're here
brother.
debating Christian
Face
nationalism.
fucking
It's
Luder
not.
take.
It's not interview Pedro.
Okay.
I understand that
We're
it's not
here
interviewing
debating
Pedro,
Christian
but, like,
nationalism.
Fucking Christian
Okay,
nationalism.
so here we go. Like, when it comes to debating, in order to debate effectively, you have to try to come to an understanding of what your opponent's position is and how they're framing it and how they came to that worldview. I think that's what you should be trying to do in a debate, and it sounds like that's maybe not how you see a debate. So
I just
Yeah,
don't
let's
really
the
take these
first,
seriously.
let's take the first hour and 15 minutes to define Christian nationalism, and then you know what, we could debate it for 15 minutes. Great.
Okay, can I respond? Can I respond, Luder?
No,
Can I
when is
respond,
yours?
Luder? Let me respond for a second. So this clown wanted this. So this
we actually could have cleared this up in
yeah.
like the first 30 seconds and moved on, but we didn't. We just got stoned by like irrelevant talking points for I don't know what reason. So go
Bro,
ahead.
when are
dude.
you releasing your
Typical
rap
debate
album?
panel.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, here I'll say this since it's coming to a close, and I want to give Luder a chance to make some important questions that can actually move us forward anywhere. But this clown Spartacus actually thought he
At
would
least
make
say
a
my name right.
definition.
At least say
He,
my
he
name
thought
right.
he wanted to make a definition, right?
it's
Define
true,
my
Pedro.
worldview for me and just take it on. Just say, yes, this is actually me. Even though it's a total straw
I
man
didn't
that
say
should
I was
not
a
be
Christian
burned but
nationalist.
nuked in the middle of a yard.
When
It's
did I
not-
say I was a
it
Christian
has-
nationalist?
He has no
Don't
idea
put
what
words in my
Christian
mouth,
national
bro.
is.
For
He
fucking
advocated
years.
earlier.
Bro, I
he
never
advocated
said I was
only
a
Pedro
Christian
knows what
earlier
it
for
nationalist. I said I was
abortion.
against it.
He is not a Christian. I'm sorry.
Only
I said I was
Pedro knows
against
what it
Christian
is.
national.
Only
I said I was
him.
against Christian nationalism, and now you're saying that I'm trying to take on Christian nationalism. I'm not a Christian nationalist. Never
No,
claimed
but
to be a Christian nationalist. Never
but
will
you
claim to be a
identified
Christian
for the
nationalist.
longest time as a Christian. What was it? Christian
Christian nationalism
constitutionalist,
goes against-
conservative, or whatever, some shit like that.
So when they said
Well,
there's
like,
only one type of Christian nationalist, I said, oh, so there's only one
But
type
you're
of
a
conservative.
lulver.
There's
Like, you're
more.
not
There's more.
fucking-
There's more than one type of Christian
no
nationalist. If
personal
you're going
attack,
to,
man.
if you're going to disagree with that, that's fine. But you're disagreeing with facts.
Wait, what are the facts there?
That
What?
there's more than one
He-
type
he
of
said-
Christian
he-
nationalist.
He's saying there's multiple
more than one
facts
type
on how
of
to.
Christian. Wait, that's
Exactly.
the
Only
whole
warning,
fucking
Pepe, you
argument
have
from the
to,
beginning. What are you
speak
talking
English.
about? You just got
10
mad at
minutes,
us for
is the
fucking
next one.
arguing over definition for the past fucking hour.
No, that's what you just. That's what you just came after. That's what you just came after me with, bro. That's what you literally just came
What are
after
you
me with.
saying?
Okay,
You
can we
literally just came after
can we
me
get
with
the rest of the time to
Put it together.
looter? Can we get the
Turn
rest of the
around
time to
and
looter?
into that corner, okay? Walk
Yeah,
into
let's
that
give the
corner
rest
and
of the
stand
time
there
of
for
the
about
debate
5
to
minutes, okay?
one
Collect
panelist. That
yourself,
sounds like
and
a
then
great
come back
idea.
whenever
Because
you-
Looter's the only one being
whenever you
nice to
figure it
him.
out, okay?
So we've really got to let him talk.
Looters
Alright.
only make the hard questions. The only time I've actually had to concede and walk back a point was when I called your level of education some kind of indoctrination system, and then he jumped
Which
into
is
my
wrong,
worldview and said, "Hey, can you examine yours? I think yours is indoctrination too." And then I had to concede that point and say, "Well, yeah, you're right. They're both biased systems that produce an indoctrination." So he's the only one that's been able to actually put me to any kind of real questioning that really actually interacted with my worldview. You can't. I'm sorry.
Oh, I could. I just don't want to.
I didn't know the title of this panel was Pedro's worldview, but okay.
I mean, it seems like he's the
I
only
think
one
the title
here
of this
who's like
panel is
defending
There's
Christian
nothing fucking
nationalism,
useful
so
to
it's
add to
inevitably going to
this
lead to
debate
him
at
getting
all.
dogpiled in a conversation
Listen,
about
Pedro,
Christian nationalism.
You ever
That's
want to
just
set up
what
a
happens.
one-on-one with me? I'll take it much more seriously. I just think these panels are a shit show. That's all.
Alec, I'm sorry I called you a troll or any kind of clown earlier. Spartacus, I'm sorry too. I get heated in these debates. I think you guys can take it on the chin. I think we can walk away from this shaking hands. I think in the future, yes, if you want to debate, we can do that, and we can do it seriously.
See,
I'm not sorry. I think you're both clowns, okay?
What are you laughing at, Dylan?
I
What's
meant
so
everything
funny?
that I said.
This is funny, man. This is why I
Yeah.
give-
Well,
To be clear, I'm not shaking hands with you. I do think that your ideology is crazy. Okay, I do. Like, that's serious. So I'm not shaking hands with you. But let that be clear. But if you would like to debate me, we can.
Well, that makes total sense because the Bible even says in its own pages that to the fool, this is nothing but foolishness. You're perishing. But to those who are being saved, it's the very power of God. So that makes total
Then let
sense
me
coming
perish,
from you,
brother.
Alec.
Yeah, I mean, it says that the strong are supposed to take care of the weak anyway. So, you know.
Very true. Also, does anyone think Marjorie Taylor Greene's kind of hot, or is it just me?
I'm
That's just-
married. I can't answer that question, sir. I'm sorry.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay,
What would God say, Pedro?
I guess
He
I'm
had
wrong.
an
would
answer.
say- he would
he had
say-
an answer in
he
his
would
head.
say-
He's just not willing to say it out loud. Like,
would
let's be
say,
real.
put
He had
it-
an answer in his head.
He would say, "Put your face to the ground, Pedro. Walk past that woman. Sid no more." That's what he would say. So, Looter, seriously, let's give Looter some time. Ask the questions. Go
Hey,
for
just
it.
like some Ephesians, okay? Men ought to love their wives as
Looter,
their own
you can
bodies,
ask
right?
one
Okay?
question, and I'm closing it.
Hey, you know what, Pedro? You took notes for my opening statement, so
Sir.
I still have
I
not
don't
had
think
a
like
single
Christian
drink.
nationalism is compatible with an American liberal worldview and how our government is structured. So I guess I would just ask you, do you think that it is, or no?
I think it is. We're not trying to actually commit to some riot. We are using the tools that you would say that the founders laid out in the Constitution in order to enact enact or be active in politics, and through that process, make our morals into law. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Yeah, real quick, Binks. I would just say that, like, I think that your conception of how marriage works and how relationships work is incompatible with how liberalism works. I think that Christian marriages are a rejection of the concept of equality. It creates a hierarchy where the man is always placed on top and says that it's the woman's role to submit to her man. And I think that that is antithetical to the equality that
Yeah,
we
but it also
hold to be
says
true,
that the
right?
man should submit to their wife as well. This is not like a
Well,
like
in
the-
marriage,
like that the woman should be the neck that turns the
That's
hen.
Yeah.
the last of it. I'm
exactly.
And it also
No, you're just wrong.
Put it in your closing. Put it on,
Okay,
like,
well, you could
not
send me
not-
something to
not-
prove me wrong, I guess.
I'll just read it
Yeah,
in my
go ahead.
closing.
Put
That's
it in
fine.
your, read it in your
Okay.
closing, and then after, if y'all want to keep going, y'all can keep going. I'm still going to stay on. So thank you all for being here. Wonderful, beautiful. It was something. So we'll go to the closing. Alec, tell us about yourself and do a closing statement.
Hello?
I
Oh,
can't
Alec,
hear him if he's talking.
we can't hear you, man.
All right, that's fine. Keep talking.
Sorry. As
Oh,
I
just me.
have my mic muted. Sorry. As
It'll be
unserious
better that way.
as this panel was, I will try to keep this as serious as possible. Christian nationalism and Christo-fascism are interchangeable in my head. If you claim to be a Christian nationalist, I will see you as an enemy. You can say all you want that this is not some kind of uprising or takeover, but you are engaging in stochastic terrorism when you say that our schools are indoctrinating children and when you say that hospitals are, doing whatever to kids. That is what Matt Walsh is doing, and he himself is a self-proclaimed theocratic fascist. So, I don't buy it. I don't care if you say, like, don't be violent, don't be violent. When you say that kids are being indoctrinated by, like, trans pedophiles or whatever, there is going to be violence. That's how that works. So, if you say you're a Christian nationalist, I don't buy it. Like, I don't buy it if you say that you're trying to do good or whatever. You said it yourself, man. You think that the educational system is indoctrinating kids, all right? Straight up, it's over. It's over. So that's just my take. Like I said, you are more than welcome to come onto my stream if you would like to debate independently of the entire panel. My name is Alec Gunter. You can find me on twitch.tv. You can find me at youtube.com/AlecGunterTTV. I would really appreciate if you would follow and subscribe. And yeah, that's about it.
Thank you very much. Now we go to host Sprouticus.
Check Alex Gunther. Why, dude? He's baiting. I know who this is.
I'm the Sproticus. You can find me at Twitch and Twitter. Christian nationalism
I'm here to
is
steal
against
content,
both things.
and I'm here to
It
profit off of
touts, it's against the fundamentals of Christianity.
Think
It's
of the
against the
followers.
fundamentals of the United States of America. And you can see this clearly. I wasn't able to actually
Bitch, you're
get to these
bald.
nuanced
I don't give
points
a fuck
because
about your opinion
evidently
on
they're
this
too
issue.
nuanced
What
for
the fuck?
this situation right now. So
Just because I'm a
again,
meathead doesn't
Pedro,
mean I'm
I'll
not a
extend the
feminist.
same offer that Alec extended you. If you'd like to talk further about that, maybe we
What?
can have a
Just
one-on-one
because I'm a meathead
and
doesn't mean I'm
talk
not a
further about
feminist.
that. But that is my belief. Nothing here has shaken my belief in that.
Thank you, Ragnarok.
The only thing I've seen here is that it seems to be that there is a Christian nationalism that's going around.
What? Just because I'm a
People
meathead
decide to
doesn't mean
say
I'm
they
not a
are Christian
feminist.
nationalists, and then other Christian nationalists say no, they're not Christian nationalists, and try to distance themselves from that to then be able to try to purify Christian nationalism and try and make it something else than what it is in everyday culture, what MTG is, what Lauren Boebert is, etc. and so
Fuck you,
on.
Hunger
So
Master.
I think that I think we should have actually debated Christian nationalism instead of someone's ideas. But needless to say, I will be on Queen Alexa's panel on Friday debating
Can't stay mad at you.
if we should defund the FBI. So be on the lookout for that.
Very cool, very swag. By the way, I'm going to be going into an open panel if anyone wants to jump in the Discord after this and comment on the discussion. Then we'll go to Nacho next.
Can you give me a second? Actually, I have to call my wife.
No, I cannot.
Okay, well,
Can I go?
Okay. I was saving you for last, Pedro, but you can go if you want.
Yeah, I appreciate very much having everyone come onto this panel. I wish it was a little more serious. I respect my dialogue that I had with Dylan and Looter. I feel like they were actually interacting with my worldview a little bit more directly and asking hard questions and clearing up a little bit of the fog. Whereas Spraticus was saying that he's a Christian on one side of his mouth and then saying abortion is cool on the other side of his mouth. That was kind of weird and kind of, throw me into the multiverse kind of moment. After that, we had Alec, who really I can't say I took seriously any time in the debate. I extended the hand of trying to take some of his questions seriously, but I don't really think he knows what the Christian worldview even is. So to actually have him ask me questions, that was kind of impossible for him. I would definitely appreciate accepting challenges for anyone who wants to have any future discussions on this. And once again, my name is Pedro, closing off with the fact that, yes, you need the gospel in your life. The gospel is that you need to repent of your sins and turn to your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I run a debate show called The Crucible. Specifically, it is not a Christian platform. It's not an atheist platform. It is a platform strictly dedicated to debate, where we have a middle ground, a public square for battling over what is the
Based in
truth. That's
sound
what it's for.
based.
So if any of my opponents here wanted to come on, we can actually have a debate that's more structured with opening statements. And I invite anyone watching this to come and witness that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'll tear him a new one.
Looter?
Yeah, sure.
Not
I don't think that we
self-righteous
were
on the
ever actually going
master.
to have a debate on Christian nationalism and Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't think that anybody here on this panel defends her or her beliefs, so
You
that
might
was just
nuts
never
in your
going to
mouth.
happen. If you're
Come on,
looking to
just
have
keep 'em.
that, I think that the more interesting conversation to have was exploring Pedro's worldview of Christian nationalism. It seems
Let him
like,
pop off.
well, he was the only person here who promoted a Christian nationalist framework. As far as Alex, man, I'm sorry to hear that you think that all these panels are just a clown show and then come in here and contribute to that environment and not
But
be
they
productive
are.
at all. I mean, kudos for that. But yeah, I guess just to get back to the final point that I had, Nacho, with a wife must
This
always
panel will be
submit
forgotten
to her
about by
husband.
next
The
week.
Bible verse that I was referring to specifically was Ephesians 5:22. Says, "Wives, submit to your own husbands as to the Lord, for the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, his body, and is himself its savior. Now, as the church submits to Christ, so also wives should submit in everything to their husbands." I think that's pretty clear and speaks for itself when it comes to a lack of equality in the marriage. Um, and as far as just a final shout out, thanks for hosting this panel. I appreciate it, man. And also, Pedro, it's unfortunate to hear that everybody was complaining that you were getting dogpiled the entire time, and then immediately in their closing, everybody wants to reach out and debate you. So, that is what it is. But you guys can find me
I'm
on
not
Twitch
sorry.
and Twitter at its_looter. And thanks for having me.
I don't
Banks.
care how much I agree with Looter. He
You're
was
welcome.
a little bit
And
soft in this
finally,
debate.
Dylon.
We don't play
So we didn't
softball
really get
with
to talk about the
fucking
tenets
people like
of
this.
Christian nationalism when it comes to its effect it has on society. I wish we got to a little bit talk more about the effects of a lot of Christian nationalist policies or way they would want to govern society, Christian nationalists.
Oh no,
And I don't think we got to because we got really stuck up on the idea on whether Lauren Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Mike Pence are Christian nationalists. And I guess we can just agree to disagree on whether they're Christian nationalists, but they're the ones that are currently, especially Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert, carrying the wave, the flag, the merch, selling it on their websites of being Christian nationalists. They are the face, whether people like it or not, of modern Christian nationalism. If I was to ask anybody who knows anything, who's been following politics, who's a Christian nationalist politician, they're the people who are probably going to be named. It's not going to be some pastor that Pedro probably, favors more towards their policies, because these are the people who have been able to get the public attention on them. And they've used it to advocate for policies like directing towards homeschools, like trying to stop the passage of gay marriage codification, like trying to get rid of Roe versus Wade and possibly even ban abortion in the future, and many other policies that most people would call Christian nationalists, or taking a Christian social worldview and projecting it into the political sphere. And most of these policies have had a negative impact, in at least my view. We can talk maybe at a future date about why I think they have a negative impact, but I would also like to talk about how societies who run on a religiously based motions, or like take the religion and project it into policy, those nations that do that, on average, run their societies in worse ways. The Islamic Republic of Iran does not run itself, in my opinion, when it comes to its social policy, in a good manner. When you look at Christian nationalist societies, or it's the societies that abide by very high Christian, I would say, moral values being projected into policy, those are the nations where you're going to see the highest rates of hate crimes against LGBTQ plus community members. Those societies, on average, usually have higher illiteracy rates. Those societies, on average, usually have lower living standards. And does that have to do with them being Christian? I don't actually think it does have to be with them necessarily being Christian. I just think once people are more properly educated, they usually drop a lot more of the religiosity.
That's pretty true.
And so with that usually goes away the religious, how you could say religious policies, or religiously based policies, or policies based in religious moral foundation. I also want to say that I'm positive that abortion is not going to have a
I'm here to steal
demonstrable,
content,
really
and I'm here
large
to profit
impact
off of
on the
it.
amount of liberals in the country.
Thank you for the follow.
When it
dedicated
comes
bot.
to the
Thank you
amount
for
of
all the follows, by the way,
homosexuals and the
guys.
fact they can't naturally reproduce.
I'll read them all out after this.
As far as we know, homosexuals are not created by two gay men having sex. So I don't really know how that would have a massive impact in the amount of gay people in
I
the
tried to
world.
tell him, man.
Since gay people are born of usually straight couples if it's not artificial insemination or some other way of giving birth. So I don't understand how gay people who are usually liberal, because the liberals are have more favorable policies towards them, how that would affect the birth rate at all, or the amount
I
of...
literally brought this point
Well,
up.
I understand how it would affect the birth rate, but I don't know how that would affect the amount of gay people, therefore usually being more liberal. Yeah, I think that's it.
That's pretty
I think
true,
a lot
Master.
of this was defined by trying to define, like, a lot of this conversation was about defining Christian nationalism, because the people who are carrying the flag for Christian nationalism in the public are widely seen as clowns. When we talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, these people who carry themselves in not only a silly manner, but a very undignified manner, being a more public spectacle than even based in policy. So yeah, I wish this conversation could have gone a little differently, but maybe at a later date.
So true. I caught the last part of that. I'll be honest, and I was kind of ignoring I was busy the first half, but it was good. It was a good statement. All right, Nacho.
Oh, I think I muted myself, so I'm gonna mute.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So
He's gonna be
a
big
lot,
mad at
'cause
me.
everybody went first. Fuck. So where to start? Yeah, the whole. So I guess we'll just cover all the fucking bases on the way out. I'll start with that last point there. Yeah, we can. I think everybody. Well, everyone who's arguing in good faith for Christian nationalism, I think, concedes immediately that there's a lot of people who misuse Christian nationalism. The same way that leftists love to say, like, "Oh, this isn't the right socialism," or "This isn't the right communism."
Totally
because it hasn't
comparable
done right.
ideas.
Except that in the case of like Christianity, we have a case to point to that is the best
Extremely
example.
comparable,
Which
in fact.
I'm glad somebody said it earlier, which is give the Caesars what is Caesar's, and then give to the Lord what's the Lord's. Like Rome was a perfect execution of Christian nationalism in a sense, because Christians basically neutered the empire to some degree because they would not cooperate at the beginning. The following after, like, give the Caesars what is Caesar's, it is to give yourself to the Lord and not to other men, because you shouldn't be more loyal to any other man than you are to the Lord. I think that in its purest form is probably a net benefit. And I
Don't
think
ask me,
a lot
Master.
of
I have
Christians
no clue
wait
what
to
he's
the
on
last
about.
minute, wait till things are so fucking bad to actually step out and speak up and do anything. So yeah, to you it looked like, oh well, this is a major upright. No, all these Christians, America is still 2/3 Christian. We have like 200 or 220 million citizens or something like that identify as Christians. So it's
Okay.
nothing changed. We were still, and by somebody's definition earlier, we've been a Christian nation for a long time, if that's the case, because the majority of our politicians are always Christian.
It doesn't make it.
And then for Luter, the whole like husbands are the head of the
make it a good
wife,
thing.
whatever. You leave out the last part of the verse, which I don't know if you did that intentionally or if you just don't know the verse or somebody sent it to you or whatever. For the husband is the head of the wife, as also is Christ the head of
I
the
don't know,
church.
Insomniac.
He himself being the savior of the body, but as the church is subject to Christ, so also is to the husband. And then the following verse is, husbands, love your wife, just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself up for her, so that he may sanctify her, having cleansed her by washing of the water of the word, he might present himself, the church, in all her glory, having no spot or wrinkle in any such thing. It goes on, but like the whole rest of the verse is basically how the husband should sacrifice everything for his wife. And then Dylan saying, like, pointing to like religious examples or religious nations, and your examples are
There's
Muslim
quite
countries. I don't
many
really
people
know
are saying there's a difference
point
between
was there,
loving
but-
and submitting. This is true.
Yeah, and Sprout, you're not too nuanced for anybody on the panel. Okay, that's it. And also,
Ooh, he
let me know
got
when
him.
you're single, okay?
Ooh, sick burn.
Take that out of
Ooh,
the
sick
dictionary.
burn. Ooh, sick burn. It was really bad.
Damn.
Is he a rapper?
I don't know. He's just looking fresh tonight, son. He looks like he's about
Do
to.
you
to
produce
drop a
music,
single,
bro?
son.
Oh, I was
I
just
don't
saying
produce
sick
music.
burn, man.
Did you go, Sprout?
Cool.
I don't remember.
I went, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you everyone so much for showing up.
Great conversation. Hopefully we can there will be some mini debates that respond from this, or mini conversations. That would be cool. So with that, I will bid all of you adieu. And yeah, good job everybody. We did it. So
Thanks so much for having me on, Binks.
Yeah, no problem, Alec.
Yeah, it was real fun actually, Binks. Thanks for messaging me out of nowhere with this.
Honestly, I thought it was gonna be kind of boring, but I was like, oh shit, okay.
You're like, oh man, Pedro's just gonna start preaching. It's just gonna be a sermon for 30 minutes.
I knew you could handle yourself, but yeah, I wasn't worried about that. But yeah, it was fun for sure.
Man, you should have defended you should have defended Marjorie Taylor Greene more, man. Everyone just wanted to dunk on her and not actually like engage with what you were saying, dude.
Yeah, can I ask, why do I have to like these people? Why do I have to? I don't know these guys at all.
It's easier
I
to
because
attack.
they call themselves Christian nationalists.
You want to know why?
So you have to denounce them or
I'll tell you why. Because I went to MSNBC and there were like 5 fucking articles about Christian nationalism and like Marjorie Taylor Greene. I was like, oh, this is something.
None of what he believes is fundamentally different from them. We'll talk about it after.
Public representation of Christian nationalism today, and she's like carrying the flag on it, and she is what when people say Christian nationalist, that's the person she's going to point to. And so when you say, well, they're not the true Christian nationalist, to me it sounds like somebody saying Stalin wasn't a real communist. That's what it sounds like to me.
Okay,
it's like
which he wasn't, but good way of putting it.
It's like stating that someone who is the head of a party.
A way normies can understand
it's like, oh yeah. The head of the party is not actually a part of that party because I'm a part of a different
as a Christian
party.
Nationalist.
It's like a Catholic saying that the Pope's not actually a Catholic.
Well, if I have to interact,
it's not because they identify as they are the Pope. They wholeheartedly accept the position of like I am.
She wholeheartedly accepts the position of Christian nationalism.
Does she?
But
yes,
Sprout. Yeah, she's selling shirts with it like I am a proud Christian nationalist. She is very into it.
Okay,
Sprout.
Because I just haven't seen that, so I don't really follow her. So,
Sprout, for the sake of argument, let's identify this is my Bible, right?
Okay.
And Marjorie Taylor Greene is over there in the fields saying that she's a Christian nationalist. But in point of fact, the very document that is supposed to define how we act out into reality, how we exercise our will in this world, she doesn't say like the gospel, like our greatest commission. Isn't that like
this is my Bible?
We can then say she's just abusing what we are, what we are positing as the foundation. Like a source can be misused by people. All those people are saying at the same time out of the side of the mouth, I represent this source. Can we say that?
You can say you disagree with the representation that she's handing off, but you can't just disavow them as what they're claiming to be and then try to create a whole different argument based off of a panel topic that was chosen based on the arguments of this person.
Well, brother, I would say this faithfully to interlock. The better person who's a politician is the one I brought forward for you, who is the leader for Red State Reformed and Action for Life that produced a document, which is the amicus brief that overturned Roe v. Wade. I think that guy, if you would have studied him and researched him and said, this is a Christian nationalist, Pedro, defend him, then I would have been like, oh, okay, yes, I will defend this guy because he did something effectively that reflects my worldview. This Marjorie Taylor,
she's so caught up in the verbiage. I hate it.
How long has Marjorie Taylor Greene been in office? And then I can tell you right now, it only took 3 years for Dennis Arfate to overturn Roe v. Wade. How long has Marjorie Taylor Greene been in politics?
I think the best definition of
a congressperson, not a judge or somebody submitting a court appeal.
A Christian.
No, he's not. He's not a judge. He's not a mayor.
Jesus Christ, baby.
He entered into politics, and he got something done that the pro-life organization, conservative Christian Republicans said they could do this whole time. He got it done better than they did in record time.
The only reason he got it done in record time and better than quote unquote anybody else did is because of the leaning of the court. If the court was not leaning this direction, then the court would have openly denied his basis on the claim to overturn Roe v. Wade.
All right,
present those justices.
present the amicus brief that was presented to other justices that when the liberals were empowered that they shot down and denied. You present that for us, that amicus brief. It does not involve red state reform or action for life.
I don't have the amicus briefs. I didn't think I needed to come prepared with amicus briefs. But
I don't know what's happening.
I'm not saying simply
stating.
You think that if the Supreme Court was leaned in a different direction, that you think that he still would have gotten Roe v. Wade overturned.
I don't think so. I'd be honest.
Okay,
on my
so
face
that's
and
my
say
point.
no. If it leaned left, well, my point is this: even though that we would have had a left-leaning court, doesn't mean that amicus briefs should not just be pouring into the Supreme Court by all these Christian politicians who's been in office for 30 years, and some of them making the attempt to get this overturned. A guy comes out of the woodwork. He is not privy to politics. All he has, literally, you can hear him talk. All he has is this is his guiding light, and him saying, "I want to make some money to get some lawyers to put this together to actually present this to the Supreme Court in a serious manner," and he got it done in 3 years.
That's based on the Supreme Court, not based on his argumentation.
Okay. I wanted to ask you about Kentucky. What did you think about that vote that happened recently in Kentucky?
I'm not privy to it. What happened in Kentucky?
Was it Kentucky or Tennessee? It was like they voted on.
Wasn't it Kansas?
On banning abortion, basically. And
Kansas.
It was like they did a public vote on it, and it was like 69% of the population of I think it was like a plus 22 Trump state voted to not make abortion illegal.
Yeah, it was Kansas.
It was Kansas,
I mean,
not Kentucky. Sorry.
Well, this is what I said. I said earlier. I don't want to overturn any of our systems. I think Destiny actually makes a good point here. This is all about.
Oh, big surprise there. He thinks Destiny makes a good point. Who would have guessed?
Simply put, if you want if Christians really want our government to reflect God's law in our offices, we're gonna have to stand up and do it. Because I unfortunately go to a church, or not my leader. My leader's actually he's very clear and staunch on his political beliefs. But the rest of the congregation, I'll hear them talking and saying all the time, "Oh man, we shouldn't. I don't even vote," or "You shouldn't vote." And it's like, what? Get involved. Do something. It's simply a means of.
Christians are almost as bad as libertarians when it comes to
get involved. Go stand outside abortion clinics.
Libertarians
like good
still
Christians.
when it comes to that, though.
Conservatives turn out way more at the voting booths than libs do, man. Like I don't know what you're getting at with that.
Yeah, no, okay, but that I think what you're trying to point is
that school board meetings,
conservative
trans
is different from
athletes,
Christian.
like good Christians.
Yeah,
but I think it's fair to say that like the Republican Party is predominantly Christian, right?
That's fine to say, but
they just say that though, bro. They just say that though. But do you actually hear them telling people beliefs that are in line with God's word and actually make sense?
Christians, but they're
so
not
nobody comes out to vote, though.
I know.
Nobody comes out to vote, though. It's not just.
Wait, Pedro, can I ask you a
we
question?
like to make fun of Christians.
Yes, sir.
It's open now. So when you look at like the first 500 years of Christianity, like when they were in Rome, and you look at what the church fathers were looking at, and as far as I know,
why is this mic so
we have to change Rome politically. They're like, we want to get the fuck out of there because that's like Babylon. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah,
you don't see them
critical of the
but to
government,
me, that's
though.
We should get away from politics, or we should get away from
Well, they're saying their activity was like this. They're not rioting, but they are actively standing on top of their beliefs. And in the public square that Rome did have at the time, they're just speaking to what they believe the truth. And because their arguments were so strong, they were causing naturally, not by some weird thing going on in the background, but they were just causing a ruckus. Like, how do you when you have a group of people with a solid argument making total sense and just flipping your worldview on its face in front of you, it's going to cause a problem. It will be a backlash and a lashing out. Yeah, I recognize that totally. So I think Rome just fell due to naturally people plunging into chaos faced with a moral, real thing, which is that the Christian God of the Bible is the actual God that you should be worshiping. And they had all these other gods that need to be gotten rid of. That's it.
Well,
and we know how heavy they were involved in politics. Oh, go for it, Nacho.
I was just going to add on to that, though, that Christians in Rome, you're right, were basically like, we need to get the hell out of here. But they were very critical of the empire and of the government, when it was very dangerous to be so, and that spread to the people as well. And I think that also had a big influence on why Rome was collapsing too, because the people realized that they didn't need to be like submitting to this, king and this monarchy, even though it was whatever they wanted to call it. It was a monarchy at the end of the day. There was a king. There was one ruler dictating over everything. It was a dictatorship, and they didn't want to be a part of that. And their attitude spread to other citizens as well. Whether or not they converted them to Christianity at the time, they still got them out of that system, or they helped get them out of that system.
Right.
Like,
I got more time if anybody wants to pitch any more questions, but yeah, if you guys want to just close it, but yeah.
I mean, we're done.
Yeah, what's this
when they want.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm here to steal content.
I was curious,
and I'm here
like
to profit
like
off of it.
Political figure you think is like a good representation of like Christianity?
I mean, I kind of said him already. Dennis Arfate is like the man. I think Clarence Thomas is a G right now, sitting in the Supreme Court. He's really just holding it down. I don't know if you guys have been watching what's been happening with the gun laws, but he's just like, nah, that ain't gonna work. But what's weirdly also happening in that is really the Supreme Court's word is not meaning anything to a lot of states, and they're just carte blanche making up their own laws to subvert the decisions they make. So, yeah.
Thank you, the Half Nerd. Thank you for the follow, by the way.
Real political figure that I kind of like. Who's that guy that went up against that? It was a black lady, and she's a lawyer, and she was being questioned by some guy about was it abortion, or were they talking about transitioning? Oh, they were talking about the definition of a woman. That's right. And what happened next was he threatened that he was causing transphobic hate or causing harm to trans.
Which he was, but bad optics.
What's his name? What's his name? Knows him?
Is it John Kennedy? No. Yeah, I don't know who.
I mean, I like him. I don't know much about his activities.
Matt Walsh? Are we talking about Matt Walsh right now?
No.
It's like a
Matt Walsh.
No, I know the video you're talking about. I don't know his name.
Yeah. We don't know the name of the person. I liked his questions though. Matt
I'll bet
Walsh.
you did.
Is Matt Walsh a politician? I thought he was
No,
on
I
Ben Shapiro.
many
What If a Woman
things.
thing, and I remember the documentary.
Did you ever figure out what a woman is? Because I didn't finish the documentary.
They think they did.
No, they never figured it out.
I thought that's what I thought.
Hey, okay, can we talk about Andrew Tate really quick?
Oh, God.
Or we can talk about Andrew Tate. Why not?
Okay.
Okay.
Everybody watched his debate with Hassan, correct?
No, I didn't. I skipped it.
What? How did you not watch that? Yeah, I watched it like 3 times. What's up?
Okay, so Dylan, here, if I'm lying, stop me. Dylan,
Okay.
Hassan pretty much throws Andrew Tate over the rail with simply putting him into a corner and making him ask, hey, do you think studies have any kind of validity in reality, right? And
I didn't watch the debate. I just said I didn't watch it.
Oh, okay, I was trying to explain it to you.
Pedro, I got
but-
you.
Oh, I thought you were asking me about it. Okay, so explain it to me,
Yeah.
Pedro. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, geez,
Andrew
don't stop
Tate-
fucking interrupting him, dude.
Yeah,
Never.
Andrew Tate loses debate to Hassan. Hassan, all he does is bring
yeah,
up
it's on
studies saying that women are better drivers. But I thought it was so obvious what Andrew Tate should do, and no one else did it. If you want to use studies to say that is what dictates how we define who's a better driver, a man or a woman, the study on its face is invalid because we can't, in this whole modern height of technological society in science, can't define what a woman is. So anyone in the study could have just claimed they were a woman.
Damn,
No.
Pedro.
It could have been a
kill shot
guy.
right there, man.
I never thought about that.
That is
before.
I thought it was. I thought it was a kill shot.
I'm gonna
Oh my
fucking
God.
die, dude, in Minecraft. Oh my god.
Yes, Alec agreed with me. Finally.
Yeah, no, I
Pedro,
don't.
Pedro,
I'll ask you
No.
this. I'll ask you this, Pedro.
Never
Would
thought
you
of that
agree
before.
that the position that Tate had is a justification that he has for bigotry? And that anybody could use the logic that Tate used to justify racism or bigotry, and that that's wrong?
Well, I would say bigots in the past, in history, are actually quite smart people who actually know how to make out plans. So I can't give him that nomenclature. I mean,
Hey,
he is.
but there's still
he
bigots
is-
though, right?
Why would you bite that bullet?
He's
But there's still
manipulating
bigots though, right?
Why would
Yeah, he is a bigot, but I would say this: he is manipulating the algorithm in a way where I don't understand. I think you guys like just raw drama a lot, and that's why his numbers are so high. You don't
Well, yeah.
like. Tell me,
I
how
understand
nice.
how pyramid schemes work.
Haters.
Andrew, okay.
They're all haters. Okay.
I understand how Hustlers University works. All right.
I can
I understand that his model for marketing
Andrew
for
Tate
TikTok.
and a lot of other people are doing well on the internet. Okay, and I've learned this slowly from my time online. Okay,
Listen,
this is it. If you are online and you're looking for an alternative source of information, right? That's why you're online, because you looked at
You go to
mainstream
Andrew
news
Tate.
and you're like, that's bullshit. Either you don't like their opinions, you don't like how their business practices are, and so you rejected it, right? So you go to the alternative space to have that alternative, right? Andrew Tate is part of that alternative. The problem is, a lot of times, the alternative position is really fucking stupid, right? I mean stupid. Like if the mainstream position is, hey, you should get your polio vaccine so you don't catch polio, or your chickenpox vaccine, the alternative to that is going to be stupid because it's going to be, I just reject it because that's the mainstream. I don't want to be like a sheeple position, right? And so what Andrew Tate is,
Hipster
he's
shit.
combining a combination of really like good knowledge on like monetization and like how like to get attention online by using tags and views and like just knowledge of the industry. He's combining that with an eccentric personality in the alternative. And the alternative is risque. It's interesting. You're a little rebel, aren't you? You're not like all those feminist cucks. You're a rebel. You're an Andrew Tate guy. And that's part of the reason why he appeals particularly to young men who have lost their ways in life, either because they don't feel fulfilled or they, you know, they're not finding fulfillment in their life some other way, whether it be through church or community or something else, whatever that is. And so I think Andrew Tate combines an eccentric personality with the alternative position and a lot of knowledge on how the internet works. But the problem is, you don't need to be smart at all to combine these things together. I would say actually most Twitch streamers who talk about politics probably don't know a lot about politics. I would actually make that assertion. Most online alternative media commentators don't know that much about politics. And that was Andrew Tate kind of running into that reality when he talked to Hassan and got pushback, was when he isn't in this controlled environment where he can just give these hot takes and not get pushback, like people like they start asking questions, and that was the fault. He should not go into debates. He should just, if he just does Fortress Arc on TikTok and on YouTube and on YouTube Shorts, he's gonna have an amazing
Another one.
But he should never debate somebody again.
Welcome in,
By the way, it was
Talworks.
Josh Hawley you were thinking of, Pedro.
Yeah, I think that's the only person that's ever made Hassan
Welcome,
sound
Raiders.
smart that I've ever seen.
Yeah, Hassan's not a good debater. He's not,
No, he's
which
ass.
is what made it particularly
That's why he doesn't
humiliating.
debate.
Can I reveal something really quick?
Please.
And this is going to be a shocker. I knew Andrew Tate before everybody else knew Andrew Tate because I was always into UFC and fighting stuff. I had seen he's actually a very good fighter.
Yeah.
I knew his name.
Oh, I'm
I knew
sure
his
he
name
is.
as soon as I heard it. I was like, "Isn't that guy a fucking fighter?" Like,
Took a
He's
little
a
too
killer,
many
bro.
concussions, but you know.
yeah.
Well, I've also seen him take. Well, every fighter is going to get hit, but I've also seen him take somebody else's head off, bro. So honestly, I am a fan in that sense, but in the fan of my worldview and shaping it, and forming my morals, no, obviously not.
Well,
But yeah, Dylan, what you just described is why I'm not against video essays, but I never want to do video essays. I only want to be in the arena of debate where I'm laying out my position in the heat of the moment, like right there in front of your eye. Like, this is not a monologue. This is me giving you it right there. So that's why I like debates. But go, Alex.
I've started doing video essays, and I'm putting a lot of work into them. I did one recently on the Russian economy that I'm very proud of. I did one on looking at examination of like Russian war crimes in Ukraine. Obviously, I care a lot about Ukraine. I'm in Ukraine. So a lot of it's based in that. But I think for me, like, video essays allow me to more sit out and make sure I get to cover everything, and I can show graphics on screen that is in a way appealing to people. Because I'm going to be for real, 3-hour debate with conservative about Christianity isn't very marketable. It isn't marketable on YouTube Shorts. It isn't marketable on TikTok. It isn't marketable on... Most people don't want to sit down and listen to me, you and me go back to
That's the point.
for 3 hours.
I'm a weirdo in that way. I love watching this
People
shit.
don't want that. What
Twitch
people want
politics is dead.
bam, bam, bam,
and
bam, bam,
I'm
bam,
go-
bam. Just like all the information coming at them. And so what I'm doing is I'm trying with these video essays is trying to present it in a way that is consumable but it's hopefully informative. But I do think that video essayists, that ability to prep themselves and do a million different takes is what allows them to a lot of times shield themselves off from criticism. It's why a lot of these video essayists, when they come out a video essay and start Twitch streaming, you get like a million different takes out of the most dog shit stuff in the world. Or when they make a Twitter account and then you get their unfiltered nonsense when they don't put it through 30 takes and they send it to an editor who also double checks everything they're saying before uploading it on YouTube.
Yeah, I fully agree with you in this sense right here. So Looter and me could have a conversation, and there'll be a minority of people who want to listen to that conversation. They'll be like, yes, this is very intense, getting into the meat of what the theology is actually saying and the Bible says. You're completely right. It's not marketable. Not many people want to actually just sit down and do that. So that's why I love the Crucible, where the formula is this. In my head, Andrew is willing to step into the other person's worldview, right? And pick up the halberd on the ground and just cause absolute chaos.
This is all
and
just
at the
virtue
time
signaling.
makes sense. And it's kind of like a formula we've made up where it's Andrew slaps the pentagram out of your hand, and then I'm there shoving.
He puts
the
on
Bible
a very
in
nice face and a nice voice, and he is the most closed-minded piece
that
of
we
shit.
have made the algorithm work for us right now.
I need to slap the Bible out of that hand and then put a plan B in there. That's my job. Okay.
No, come on.
Nice.
But the thing,
Based.
I want to ask you this though. There was like 5 or 6 of us talking at the same time during the majority of this discussion, right? And a lot of people were making a lot of assertions. And I'm gonna, at good faith, I'm gonna say that nobody in here lied today, right? But let's say that in the middle of our discussion, I said, "What do you mean? Marjorie Taylor Greene actually sponsors her own church." You didn't know that? I just said that.
Didn't know that. I didn't know. That'd be crazy.
That's crazy.
That'd
awesome.
be crazy. But I just lied. That's not true. But if I would have said that in this conversation, and you just take my words at good faith, I can then just say shit that's just absolutely not true. It gets blasted to your audience, gets blasted to everybody's audience in here, gets blasted, of course, to my audience, and then afterwards you're like, motherfucker lied to me. And then you post something, but is anybody gonna watch that? Is anybody gonna watch the comment in response to that? No, of course they're not. And that's one thing I like about
that
video
study you
essays,
never sent me, you know?
is it allows me to take down an idea and I can have days to just double check, triple check, quadruple check everything. Because when there's 6 people talking at the same time in a panel, it's real easy to slip some nonsense in there.
That's true.
I would actually give you that and say that's a very truthful statement. So I think both systems, whether it's video essays or live debate or any other form that's out there, I think there's going to be an error in anything that you're going to have to weigh risk for. When I come into these debates, I mean, you just said it right now. It has to be on some level of good faith. And I hope today that if you guys look through everything I said,
he's calling me out.
You know, it's consistent with Scripture, and it's consistent with you know, the people.
To be fair, I did listen to him.
I watched that one you did with James Hake. That was an interesting one. I thought you won that one. I thought it was pretty good faith.
Yeah, I think so. If we want to switch over to that kind of topic where we're trying to see, like, if you guys looked at it right now, Destiny has 4 black guys on a stream with Nick Fuentes, right? It was kind of a mask off moment.
Are they okay? Oh my god.
Wait, what?
No. They totally took the mask off Nick Fuentes because what does he say all the time? I'm a Christian nationalist. I believe in Christianity. No. Hey, what would you like the core of society to look like demographically? White. We have a race realist. We have a white nationalist here, ladies and gentlemen. It was very easy. So, go for it, Nacho.
No, yeah, I was just gonna say. I think I tried to touch on that earlier, but I think I waited till like the very end and like closing to say that like yeah, there's a lot of like bad actors because I had the same ideas and views on like Christian nationalism, and I actually went to like talk to Andrew about it, or that was like something that I wanted to ask him about because I had heard him talk to some other people, and then when he gave me his like definition or view of like Christian nationalism, and then I've heard you, Pedro, and some other people on the Crucible talking about that, like I'm like, okay, well, this is completely different than what my understanding of it was. Like, this is
true, Master.
It's all just a cover for white supremacists. Like that's basically. I thought Wignets and Christian nationalists were like hand in hand, basically.
Yeah,
So,
but let's be careful here because I don't want to paint Hake as a white nationalist or anything like that. I think
no,
I've
I don't
had
even know what
the
you're talking about, but
Hake
yeah,
is different, so of course not.
Well, in my view, they're both
Hake-
extraordinarily harmful,
Oh, yeah,
and
I
at
know
that
Hake, yeah.
point, you might as well say, well, he's not a Nazi; he's just a racist. So, like,
well,
they're
Alec,
they're both extremely harmful. So
Well, Alec, I think what's happening with Hake is this, because if you noticed in that debate, he was agreeing with me a lot, right, Binks? He kept saying, "Oh, I agree with that. I agree with you here, Pedro."
Yeah, they would just
Oh,
go on some crazy shit.
yeah.
Who?
And what the problem
Tate.
with Hake, problem with Hake is, I think his reaction to what's happening in our society as we see it is an emotional one rather than a logical one that's biblically based.
I don't know what it
But
is.
that's simply it.
I cannot
Well,
begin
so-
to describe it.
I can describe it. Imagine if I told you, Alec, that because of the color of your skin, I blame you for everything that's happened, for everything bad in my past. And I do that on a scale of millions of people. And I tell these people, hey, Alec should not have a job. Alec should be persecuted. Alec should pay me his money. What if I did that?
It'd be pretty
They think
based.
you
White
would
people are
fail.
pretty bad.
Wow. Okay. So if you can't empathize with somebody who, you can look at a legitimate situation where there is this total emotional reaction going on both sides of the aisle, right or left, you're going to have these people in the middle who are going to scatter and run to either side. They're going to run.
The difference is the people on the left who are emotional are justified in their emotions. The people on the right are not. And I know that because I'm a former conservative.
Every time,
huh?
All of them.
All of them.
All of the civil unrest and all the protests and all of them were all justified.
Sir, have you seen the videos where a grandma gets pulled in the back of the head in New York? That's someone's grandma who dies, and it was found out we just hate white people. How do you think that grandson, that's a mom of someone who is white? How do you think they're going to react?
That'd be pretty shitty. I would hate that. I don't think that's right.
Or when they were rioting, and protesting in Detroit and turning over cars after.
Oh my God, they burned. Did you hear they burned down the entire state of New York? That was insane. It's gone. It's just off the map. It was gone. I can't even believe it.
After police shot at a suspect who was shooting at them, who pulled a gun out and shot at them.
Oh, you mean when they unloaded like 90 rounds onto that guy? Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Nope, not that one.
So
in
Pedro,
Detroit,
I got
one. Okay.
I pulled the gun on the cops, shot at them 3 times and missed. They shot him, killed him, and then the city started rioting and fucking protesting because they thought that cops were just shooting an unarmed black man because of social media and other dumb fuck leftists spreading their fucking dipshit take around.
I don't know that story.
Released the footage.
Listen, I've never heard that story. I don't know anything about it, so I will not comment.
Shut the fuck up when I'm trying to explain it to you, man. Jesus.
Well, I know you are, but I don't trust you.
It could have been over in 30 seconds.
Alec, you're very condescending. I'm telling you that right now.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, if you can't empathize with a person, like on an individual scale, like there is some truth that Andrew Tate did say. While statistics may be valid and they may lead to better things being invented and improving on certain consequences in the world, there is a level for the individual's experiences in the world to be taken into account.
Oh, I know. Individual experiences lead to bigotry. That doesn't make the bigotry okay.
Okay, so I wanted to ask.
Okay, so how does that not apply to the left? I don't understand.
Because the left is correct.
Right. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you for making a point. Anyways, Dylan.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Pedro, I wanted to ask you, like, are you really like that surprised though by like Nick Fuentes and people like him identifying themselves as Christian nationalists when like the white nationalist movement and the Christian nationalist movement, even if you don't think they're real Christian nationalists, have historically been very, very tied together. I mean, many people point to the Ku Klux Klan as being one of the most major Christian nationalist movements in American history, which engaged in, terrorism.
I'm not having a civil conversation with these guys.
I'm going to take a controversial
I can't
opinion
do
that
it.
they're kind of racist, a little bit, tiny bit. But they identified as Christian nationalists. They had millions of members on their payroll who, if you would ask them, they'd be like, yes, we believe America's a Christian nation. We should
Respect
be by
to
Christian
Dylan,
values.
but no.
Bluebirds with the bluebirds, redbirds with the redbirds. That's how my great-grandmother described it to me.
Right, and I would say this to wrap it all together and be consistent with what I previously said. Christianity is a very powerful item, a powerful tool. It provides you with this document that speaks to a lot of people in a significant manner, in a significant way, that if you use it as a mask, right? Nick Fuentes, as we talked about earlier, has a mask.
Bigotry seems like a meaningless buzzword. It's not.
You'll be able to coalesce certain individuals.
I think it's pretty useful. Also, you're banning 12 plus fucking channels.
To your side
Suspicious.
And then by the time they've made you donate to their organization, where they have now your name and your credit card number.
Oh, he's already okay.
Subscribe to, along with your address, saying, "Hey, you have to stick with us now. Because this is who we really are, but we can publicize your information and make it so that everybody knows that you donated to us, you came to our rallies and supported us, and we can ruin your life." So it's a way of weaponizing Christianity in a way of, hey, it's a useful tool for now, but I have my own nefarious purposes to really mesh out in the long run, and I need as many people on my side as possible. And as the left, as Alec describes it, is so right and correct and unerrorable, while they're demonizing those people in the middle and throwing a grenade in the middle of them and making them scatter in fear. Nick Fuentes' group is opening the door up, saying, "Hey, come over here. We'll take care of you." Hey, I'm sorry. They did that.
Oh, the door's open.
At some point,
the door's open.
It's kind of like at some point, if the major figures that are describing themselves as Christian nationalists and the major Christian nationalist movements that I am seeing in the United States, either historically or in present day, have these deep ties to white nationalism or have done, I would say, reprehensible things. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, Mike Pence have all advocated for reprehensible policies. Conversion therapy for Mike Pence would be something I'd point to for him. I'm sure anybody could talk about the statements that Marjorie Taylor Greene talked about all day. Like, at some point, do you ever feel like, well, fuck, they have the movement. They've captured it. Like Christian nationalism, the white nationalists of the old, they captured it with the Ku Klux Klan. And in the modern day, we have these Marjorie Taylor Greene types.
Wait, we still have the KKK. What is he talking about?
Traditional brand. We have Lauren Boebert.
I know they don't have a lot of esteem, but
making the money off of Christian nationalism, the name of Christian nationalism, they're the face of Christian nationalism. At one point, are they just not Christian nationalism? I mean, a lot of Trotskyites would say Stalin's a fake communist. He's not a real communist. They were the minority. We're the real communists.
Oh God, what is this?
But at what point do you say, like, how can you? I mean, he's the international face of communism.
Yeah, the same argument can be made against the current left and Democrats currently. Like, basically providing this umbrella and cover for, especially left media, for all these like socialist movements, anarchist, Marxist, communist movements. Like, they refuse to at the very least come out and say anything about it.
But when's the last time?
Like,
deny that.
I can make the same claim and just be like, well, don't you agree that like socialists and communists and Marxism has a grip on the Democratic Party? You just have to concede at some point and be like, yeah.
No, they don't.
People don't give a
you
fuck
cannot
about
point.
Liberties or
well, I would say the difference is Marjorie Taylor Greene comes out and says, "I am a Christian nationalist." Nancy Pelosi, or basically every Democrat, almost every Democrat, I think a few of them are. I think that would be AOC, for example. But most of them would come out and say, "I'm a capitalist." Nancy Pelosi, when directly asked about this, says, "I am not a socialist. I am not a communist. I'm a capitalist, and I will always be a capitalist." So I guess that's a little different than somebody coming out and saying, "I am a Christian nationalist," right? If she denies it,
because to the same extent, there's a few actors who claim socialism and would say openly that yes, they're socialist politicians, but
absolutely
all of the socialists are voting Democrat.
Yeah,
I would assume so, anyways.
Damage reduction,
like anarcho libertarian, whatever the fuck. But yeah,
if I can interact with what Dylan said,
yeah, sorry.
If I could interact with what Dylan said. But Dylan, this goes back to what Nacho made a point earlier in the debate. We don't get involved. You've never heard people like me who are willing and so unashamed of the gospel because they think it's the very power of God start their opening statement with the gospel, the saving message of Jesus Christ. You've never heard that. On this platform, on this platform, right?
So brave.
I bet you my bottom dollar, Lauren Southern has never actually made a gospel presentation to you in all of her video essays on this platform. But
have you ever thought that might be appealing?
But this isn't a popularity contest, sir.
Okay.
I think this is not this is what is Christianity. It's not something that I'm trying to edit for you. You know, my gospel that I gave you was very harsh. You know, it comes with a harsh pill to swallow, which is, yes, God has designed some people to receive his wrath, and yes, other people he has been designed by God to receive his grace and mercy. All of this is not centered around the person. It's centered around God glorifying himself. That's a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow who are all about the me. It's about me culture. What is this going to do for me? So
Wait.
This is not a popularity contest at all.
I want to make sure I understand what you just said correctly. Did you say that God created some people to receive his wrath?
Yes, as it is written in Romans chapter 9, specifically when he's going over the people who are like described to be Rebecca's sons. Esau I love, but Jacob I hated. Right? And it talks about before the twins were even born that he had made them up for this purpose. It goes into a person called Pharaoh, where back in Exodus, God hardens his heart so that he does something that would lead to his ultimate destruction.
So,
and it says that I raised you up for this very purpose.
Completely unrelated question. Is God all loving?
Sir. Completely all loving. And
okay, dude.
Completely all, but no. I mean, I hear what you're saying, Alec. My God is complete wrath. Like there is going to be a moment where the sinner who departs from this world will be faced with a God who is going to judge him, and they're going to receive punishment, which is eternal.
How can you, in your head, how can you come to grips with the idea that the person or whatever you call it that you worship just created bad people? And these people are bad because God created them to be bad, and they're going to hell because they're bad. How does that make any sense? Especially when you come into all loving God, free choice. None of it adds up. None of it.
Oh, are you?
Well, it doesn't add up in a system that says, what is this system? What is this whole thing going to do for me, Pedro?
It doesn't add up, period.
It doesn't add up when you do that. But
no, it doesn't add up. It doesn't.
What is this?
You cannot rationalize that.
Okay. Alec, what is the purpose for all creation? Or is it just a random coin flip?
That has nothing to do with my question. Like, what's the purpose of all creation?
Why it has everything. Can I make the declaration of why it has everything to do with your line of questioning? Because in my gospel presentation, I stated that the purpose of all creation is to glorify God in the demonstration of his power and making his name known throughout this earth.
Okay.
That's the purpose is not arbitrary.
So are we all just pawns in God's little self-flagellating game? Is our pleasuring game? Like, is that how this works? I just don't understand this.
Wow. Well, Alec, why does it always have to be about you? Why does it always have to be about me? It's not about you. You're arguing from a standpoint.
I'm a socialist. Do you think it's about? Do you think I think it's about me? Do you know what socialism means? Like, no, yes, I know this is not just about me.
I do think it's about you. 100%.
Don't.
Okay.
I don't, Alec. I don't know.
It's fine. We don't have to get into all that. I know it's too much for you, but the thing about your...
You can can explain it. I answered honestly.
I know you did, and it's very odd. No, your worldview is incomprehensible.
Wait, what is socialism? Can you tell us?
What?
Enlighten us. Maybe we'll come to your side.
Sure, in just a second. Your worldview is incomprehensible because you cannot at the same time hold the belief that you have an all-loving God, that we have free will, and that God created people specifically to do bad things. You cannot hold all three of those in your head. You can't. All right?
No, I don't hold to free. So if you knew what Reformed theology was and what actual biblical...
Wait,
the problem, Alec.
Reformed theology? Hold on. Are you telling me that God created bad people and you're going against that by reforming them? How dare you? How dare you? Excuse you. That's God's plan, brother. I don't know what you're doing. Jesus Christ. And I thought I was like the heathen. Oh boy. Anyway, go ahead.
Reformed theology is not about actually reforming people. It's about reforming the traditions, thoughts, practices, and teachings that they professed are to be biblical by constantly being able to say, hey, those are traditions, dogmas, practices that we created, and we should be constantly looking back at God's word as the standard against which we test, refine, get rid of or completely affirm a teaching, practice, or faith. This is the standard, right? Reformed theology says this is the center, right here.
That was a long-winded
Right
way
here.
of saying you reform people. Anyway, socialism is when power, democratic power, is returned to the people, to the workers. Okay, it's when workers own the means of production. It's many things, but the two main things are democracy and workers own the means of
How do
production.
the workers get the means of production?
Why?
Where? No. How do they get them?
How?
Yeah, that's my next, yeah.
Right.
Several ways. Unionization is one way. If needed, revolution, but hopefully that's,
All right, there we
not
go.
necessary. So yeah, that was it. I don't know.
Right.
All right.
Politics is crazy.
Dylan, did you have any more questions or anybody else? I'm not trying to run out. I'm just trying to think of things we can talk about.
No, I don't know what else.
Yeah,
what
I
else
stuck around because I thought you
If
said
you have
something
any
about an
questions for
open.
me,
I thought you
like,
said
you
something
should
about an
my
open
way.
panel, so I was kind of excited to see if anybody was going to hop
Yeah.
on. But
Nobody
Can we
hopped in.
bring-
They were talking shit.
huh?
Okay.
People were talking
was
shit.
talking
No one
shit?
came in.
Yeah, let them come in, bro.
No one
People can
did.
come in. I don't care, man. I've got at least 30 minutes left, probably.
Yeah, about
Well,
the same. I need to try to get in bed by like 12.
If anybody wants to come in, let me know.
I'm getting a little tired, but I'll
Try.
try to make it a few more minutes.
7 a.m. in 30 minutes where I'm at, so that's when I get breakfast.
Wait, what the fuck? Oh, are you still in Ukraine?
I'm in Ukraine. It's 7-hour time
Nice.
difference from the East Coast, man.
Good job.
Oh, I got something. I
By
got
the
something
way,
really good.
Thank
I
you
got
for
something
letting
really
Twitch
good.
politics die. Okay, Dylan, you're doing great
Okay.
work. Stick to video essays. Let Twitch politics die.
So Dylan, Nancy Pelosi was rejected the Eucharist by her bishop in San Francisco, right?
Huh?
Did you hear about that?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so get this. I'm not Catholic, but I'm just saying this is kind of like a black eye to their system. What she does is take a jet, literally, over to the Vatican, Rome, right?
Mhm.
She subverts the declaration by her bishop in San Fran where she lives and says, screw this, I'm just going to go get the Eucharist from the Pope. And the Pope gives her the Eucharist. And I'm like, all right, that's how
That's
we play
kind of
this.
awesome. That's kind
Bro,
of, dude. Looking at your pastor, could you imagine you're a pastor and you're like, you look at Nancy Pelosi, you're like, get the fuck out of here, this is silly. And then, like, 4 days later, you get a call and you're like, hello, this is the Pope. Are you messing with my girl? And you're like, oh my gosh, like I couldn't imagine.
yeah,
Because
I
that
would
is God's
love-
representative on earth, according to Catholics.
Exactly.
Literally telling you, dog, chill.
exactly. And it's a politician. So you have to be, I would have loved to be on that phone call line because that bishop and the Pope talk.
I think the Pope just looked into Nancy Pelosi's eyes and saw that she was a woman of God. That's what I think.
All right. Well, that was my last thing. I got nothing else, guys.
worries.
Okay.
Hey, Binks, I very much appreciate you having us on. Is there anybody who's trying to get in?
No one's showing up, so I think you're good.
Bunch of fucking cowards.
Where'd it go?
I know.
All right,
As
cool.
always. Okay,
Well, Alex, you have a good night.
Hey, Pedro.
Nacho, I always love talking to you, brother. We should do it more.
Alrighty, y'all. Have a good
Thanks for
night.
coming by, Pedro. I appreciate it.
Ooh, boy. Ooh, boy. That was something else, huh? Nacho's in chat. I saw. Hello, Nacho. Good to see ya.
Moralists. We'll see.
Thank
who
you so much for the
cancels
follow,
who.
Sergeant Snivy. Also, I forgot to thank the follows up here, but thank you everybody who followed. Greatly appreciated. I do hope that wait, Skyrim? Wait, what? Where's Skyrim? I don't see it. Anyway, boy, that was interesting. But yeah, I do see American Nacho. American Nacho, if you would like to set up a debate at some point, we can do that. More than welcome. Just not right now because I'm tired. But yeah, I already forget his name. The what the fuck was his name? The Crucible. He was watching Dylan Burns. Loved your performance. Thank you. I appreciate that, Sergeant. I had a lot of Dylan Burns stowaways. Thank you for coming over. I appreciate all of you very much. I didn't know Dylan was going to be there tonight. That was a pleasant surprise for me. I thought it was just going to be one of those, fun, smaller panels that I usually do. So I am glad that you guys had a good time. I'm glad that you enjoyed me. I try to make it entertaining. Like I said, I don't take the panels too seriously. When I do debates, if you guys want to see like a serious debate from me, let me shout out my YouTube real quick. If you guys want to see a serious debate from me, I do serious debates one-on-one with people. They are still pretty entertaining, don't get me wrong, but we can go back and forth a little bit better, I feel like, in like one-on-one debates. I feel like they're a little bit more, I don't want to say constructive, because the people that I have on are not the brightest tools in the shed, but or sharpest, whatever, you get it. Panels really aren't to be taken seriously. They are literally for content. I said this on mute, but when Nacho was giving his closing statement, I'm sorry if you're still here, Nacho, I don't take these seriously because this will be forgotten about by next week. Or was it Nacho? No, it wasn't Nacho. It was the other guy. Sorry, Nacho. It was the other guy. I can't remember his name. I falsely attributed that to Nacho. Anyway, you got my point. It'll be forgotten about by next week. Looter, thank you. It was Looter. No, it was Looter. I remember. But that's my point. Like it's all just for funsies. You get to wave your political dick around and then call it a day. So, like I said, I try to make it fun. I try to make it entertaining. I try to make it good content for my YouTube channel. I know that not a lot of people are subscribed to me, but we're getting there. And since I will be uploading this to YouTube, like and subscribe the video. Like the video and subscribe and comment. Comment all of your juicy, delicious thoughts into the comment section. Do it. Do it.